Here we go. You're on.
We're on.
We're here.
Hooray!
Yay! Happy Wednesday.
Wednesday's a good day. You like Wednesdays?
Almost as
No.
much as Thursdays, which is almost as much as Fridays.
Yes.
No, I like Fridays.
But do you like Wednesdays more than Tuesdays?
Yeah.
See, you're going in the right direction.
Tuesdays is like the biggest work day. Monday you ramp up. Tuesday you get your stuff done, and then it's just a slow. If you've listened to the show, you probably.
You know, you know.
Who do we have on the show today?
I'm super excited for all of our guests today.
Awesome guest.
Awesome guests. One of them
Is
extra.
Deroy Murdock.
Yes, as usual.
Yes.
He's at
105.
105.
One
Okay,
great
let's-
reason to love Wednesdays.
Let's start at the top.
Okay.
1225. Winston Marshall, who is the co-founder of the band Mumford & Sons. I'm super excited about this. This is awesome. Annie set this up.
He's canceled, and then he uncanceled himself.
He uncanceled himself. So,
Super interesting.
yeah. It's actually a really great story. I don't want to spoil it for you, but
You
it has to
listening?
do with the book that he posted, a post about liking the book, and then people lost their ever-loving minds, and then now he's got a podcast, a successful podcast, which we'll talk about as well.
12:25.
Won't be a waste of your time.
Yeah, so set your clocks, 12:25. But you're here now, so just stick around.
Yeah, don't go.
105, Deroy Murdock. Yay. 125, one of my favorite guests we have on, Joe Concha. So fun.
Did you play a song?
Oh, have to do that. Have to do that. Yep, gonna put that in. And then we also are gonna do another giveaway. Hopefully, like our minds might rock again today. That was,
We know when. You want to tell the people when?
yeah.
You want to tell me when? 'Cause I don't know when.
I've got it on there twice.
Well, we don't need to wait. We should mix it up a little bit.
Okay, so let's do it at 1:45.
1:45 it is, unless the producers forget to tell me.
Okay, unless the producers forget themselves.
I just want to be able to blend.
Oh, YouTube poll. Forgot to mention that. Today's YouTube poll is asking, is Elon Musk a hero? Yes, no, or too soon to tell.
You guys had thoughts on that?
I do. Have good thoughts.
I haven't voted yet.
But we do want you to leave comments in the chat and tell us why you voted what you voted.
Of course.
You can put your name on what you voted. We actually would like to know which one of you were which.
Which is which?
Which is which. Yeah, maybe your guys' comments will influence my vote because I haven't really thought about it yet. So I'm really excited for today's show. I think it's gonna be good. Last day of November.
Who wouldn't be excited for today's show?
Not waste your time.
She's sassy. She's real sassy.
I'm really happy to be here.
Sounds like it, I mean.
Happy last day of November, everybody.
It's almost December. You guys remember when I told you it was going to be Christmas just like that?
Yep.
In June?
I remember
No.
the big countdown to the primary.
That was eternity ago.
Or the midterms.
That-
The
that just-
primary.
Midterms weren't even a month ago.
Oh!
Joe!
That's early. All right.
It's a little early.
Your
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
And so my conscience really started to bother me. I was also frustrated that I felt like I was in some way excusing the behavior of Antifa by apologizing for criticizing it, which then made me feel, well, then I'm as bad as the problem because I'm sort of agreeing that it doesn't exist, which I found very frustrating. Another point, by the way, I found it very frustrating that the left-wing media in this country and in my country don't even talk about it. We can all see this footage. We see it online. They don't talk about it. And that's part of my I think, interest initially in tweeting about Andy's book because I think people need to see what's going on.
So that beautiful voice that you were hearing speaking right there is Winston Marshall. He's the co-founder of the band Mumford & Sons. He is, if you're not familiar with Mumford & Sons, I promise you that you have heard a Mumford & Sons song before. I love their music. I've been a fan of their music. And he basically, to sum up, Winston Marshall ended up getting canceled. And we're going to have Winston Marshall on the show at 12:25, so about 15 minutes from now. So do not go anywhere. Winston Marshall is going to join us here on the Annie Frey Show. And the reason why I'm so interested in Winston Marshall's story, that conversation he was having was with Glenn Beck. Winston Marshall, during COVID, read a book by Andy Ngo. And if you don't know who Andy Ngo is, does he mostly, Brad, investigate Antifa?
Yeah,
I always hear about him in the Antifa circles. Is that his focus?
Yeah, if Antifa is somewhere, he's there documenting it. I think he works for the New York Post and a couple other things, but yeah.
He was attacked. He had a brain bleed from being attacked. I'm talking about Andy Ngo, was attacked and had a brain bleed from Antifa, who assaulted him at one of their protests, and he went to the hospital. I mean, he had his life literally threatened and attacked by Antifa. Andy Ngo wrote a book about it. Winston Marshall is a dude in a band, in a very globally successful band. Over the course of COVID, Winston Marshall starts to read some books.
The story specifically was that through the pandemic, I was posting books I was reading as one of the themes of my social media. I didn't have many followers on social media, and I tweeted about books from Mao's Little Red Book to Tolstoy's War and Peace, whatever I was reading I found interesting. And one of the books, as I said, was Andy Ngo's book, and somehow it just completely exploded in a sort of Twitter storm. These things happen. And they say Twitter isn't real life until it's real life. And that's true, because initially I was like, it's just a storm, it will pass. But then you get the phone calls. Then you get your friends, people you work with calling you up. Some of them are worried for you. Some of them are worried about what's going on. They don't understand what's going on. And then you slowly see your life unraveling. And fortunately now it's been 16, 18 months and I've built a new life, so I feel stronger talking about it.
Does the story sound familiar to you? I mean, you may not know Winston Marshall. You may be a huge fan of Winston Marshall. I have a feeling he's going to be the type of person who some people are going to go, oh my gosh, Winston Marshall was on the Annie Frey Show. And then they're going to say that to people and they're going to go, who's Winston Marshall? If you're interested in music, we were talking out in the hallway here before the show started. We've got music stations here, Y98, we've got KZK, we've got several hip hop stations, KMOX, of course. But if you go out in the hallways here and you say Winston Marshall and Mumford & Sons, people go, wait, what?
Yeah.
Winston Marshall has a really compelling story. Winston Marshall was attacked because he read a book and he tweeted about it.
For a long time, it was very painful to talk about that time and the coming months. And so I issued an apology, partly because when you're under attack, let's say if you're at a dinner table and you say something offensive, someone's offended by what you say, you would say, oh, I'm so sorry. What do I not know? Explain to me. So I was certainly open to not understanding the full picture. And I wanted to protect my bandmates who were getting pulled under the bus with me. So I issued an apology. And then in the coming months, gradually, I looked deeper and deeper into the topic, and I realized I hadn't been wrong. I'd called the author brave. Not only was he brave, he'd been attacked by Antifa mobs in Oregon, but he was then attacked again. Video of that came out again.
So when you listen to Winston Marshall talk about this arc, and this is a story to us, but this is Winston Marshall's life. He's a bandmate in a, like I said, wildly successful band. He was a member of Mumford & Sons. And this guy read a book over COVID. That's among other books. He talks about his social media, tweeting about all the books that he was reading. And he read this book by Andy Ngo. And he was talking about this violence that was taking place. And he essentially, in the culture that exists, and in the space where he communicated, which was Twitter, He stepped into a conversation that was not allowed to be discussed in his community, which is potentially the arts community or the music scene or the entertainment scene. He stepped into something probably unbeknownst to him, and we're going to ask him about that in about 15 minutes. He stepped into a topic of conversation that he just was not to speak on. And as I was listening to his story, and I hope that you, if you're interested in this, we're going to talk a little bit about his podcast. It's called Marshall Matters. And I was listening to some of it today. I picked it up on Spotify, Marshall Matters. If you listen to how he talks about what happened to him, and you wonder if it could happen to you, or if potentially maybe you're not a member of a super globally successful band, but you've been canceled from your family, or maybe you've been canceled from work or from a friend group, or maybe you've seen it happen to someone you love. We have to ask ourselves about what topics we are allowed to discuss. Are we even allowed to be wrong about things anymore? And how is one to understand that their line of thinking is the wrong line of thinking if they're not allowed to say it out loud and have a discussion with somebody who cares more about them than they do about them being right and proving you wrong? Do we care more about winning that conversation or about the people who we care about in our lives? And as I wrote down a little timeline here, I mapped out his situation. You know, he read a book. He made a statement based on the words that he read on paper. The first reaction that he talks about when he put this out, and when the Twitter storm, as he phrased it, when the Twitter storm begins, he talks about people reaching out to him with concern. And it's kind of funny to me in a not comedic kind of way. When he says concern, you and I both know what he means by concern, which is the people who do care about him more than they care about winning an argument. Brad, you might have experienced this or seen this happen too, but the concern is not about the way of thinking. It's about, oh my gosh, don't do this to yourself. They know what's coming. They know that there will be torches and pitchforks headed to your doorstep to ruin you, to take you down if you continue along that route. And the people who express that concern, there's not really like an education that they're interested in taking place. They truly do love you. They just want you to stop because they don't want to see what's coming happen to you because they know it's coming. We see this on a whole host of topics on Twitter. So that initial concern, that comes from the portion of people in your community that do care about you. And then there's the people who come with the pitchforks and the torches, and they are looking to ruin your life. Because if you dare bring that topic of conversation into the public square, the worst thing that can happen is a conversation breaks out. Why do these people not bring their points to the argument to have a discussion with you so that they can prove that what you are speaking on, that your line of thinking is the wrong line of thinking? Have an educated conversation and discuss it. That's not what happens. The torches and pitchforks don't even come to discuss the issue. They come to discuss you and your character and what kind of person you are and the association with anybody who would ever have been attached to you. For instance, your bandmates who play beautiful music and have been wildly successful. Everybody who's in your orbit is now a part of your great sin. And your great sin isn't that you think a certain way. It's that you were so bold and so stupid to bring it up in a public place of conversation. So he talks about the concern and the arguments that are brought to him. And Winston Marshall's going through this arc. He did not put this out there to change the world. He did not put this out there certainly to change his career. He talks about how hurt he was through this process, how traumatizing. I mean, he essentially lost everything that he knew and had to build something back, which he has, which is why we're going to have him on the show here in about 10 minutes. But there's shame that's involved. And if you've ever been shamed, or if you've ever seen somebody be shamed, one of two things happen. It's usually a fight or flight reaction. And the vast majority of people, when great shame is pushed into your life, they shut down. They shut up. And when you listen to Winston Marshall tell his story, and you hear about how it was to be this successful musician who during COVID was locked up like everybody else, and how dare he read a book? I mean, you want to talk about, like, which political party right now is talking about, like, shaking their fist in the sky and saying, like, these people want to ban books. This is the left accusing the right, and what they're talking about are books that are in classrooms that talk about wild sexual things to entirely underage kids. They want to use the book banning argument against conservatives. Winston Marshall read a book by Andy Ngo. Andy Ngo happens to spend a lot of his time trying to expose Antifa. And Winston Marshall, how dare he, had an opinion on it, and he shared it. So that shame pushes people into being silenced. People choose to be silent because the only other alternative is to go back out into the space where you know you will be beaten and battered for daring to have an opinion that isn't the status quo approved opinion of the masses. But the part there that I played at the beginning of this segment that is so compelling to me is in his silencing. After he moved through the original Twitter storm and he was kind of on the other end of this, the denouement of this aggressive attack against him and the stripping him of his current career because he stepped out of Mumford & Sons as to keep the band separate from them. He starts thinking about what they're really attacking and what his silence is doing to contribute to this cancel culture that exists. If everything that was thrown at him doesn't change his initial thought on the book that he read, and he was willing to say it in the first place, and he's not willing to back it up in the last place, does he have a personal problem with his willingness to stand by what he stood for originally? And he did. He said that his conscience started to get to him. The frustration behind, wait a second, I got canceled here. This is entirely unfair. This is entirely wrong. Am I contributing to the problem of what canceled me, and will I contribute to this happening to someone again? Listen to that last part one more time.
And so my conscience really started to bother me. I was also frustrated that I felt like I was in some way excusing the behavior of Antifa by apologizing for criticizing it, which then made me feel, well, then I'm as bad as the problem because I'm sort of agreeing that it doesn't exist, which I found very frustrating. Another point, by the way, I found it very frustrating that the left-wing media in this country and in my country don't even talk about it. We can all see this footage. We see it online. They don't talk about it. And that's part of my, I think, interest initially in tweeting about Andy's book, because I think people need to see what's going on.
So interesting to listen to Winston Marshall go through this process and go, wait a second, if I do what they tell me, then I'm as bad as the rest of them. Winston Marshall, a former bandmate of Mumford & Sons, who was canceled over tweeting over a book written by Andy Ngo, is going to join us. When we return here, we're going to take a quick break. Stick around. We're going to learn about his story, a little more about his story from what I just kind of articulated here through this first segment. And we're going to talk about cancel culture. We're going to talk about those topics that seem like they're not discussable, that we can't bring these topics of conversation into any public space because you're just not supposed to do that. Well, who says? Winston Marshall created a podcast called Marshall Matters, and it's all about topics that you're not supposed to talk about. And he's going to discuss that with us on The Annie Frey Show when we come back. Don't go away.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
I'm Howard Mack with GetRefunds.com. You might have heard me talk about the payroll tax refund for businesses who kept employees on payroll during COVID. But today, I'm not going to do the talking. I'm letting a real Get Refunds client tell you everything.
Hello, I'm Steve, certified arborist and owner of New Century Tree and Lawn. I heard about the payroll tax refund and GetRefunds.com on the radio. When COVID hit my business, we dealt with shutdowns, strict sanitation procedures, and many extra expenses. Since then, we have been affected by product and labor shortages and massive inflation. GetRefunds.com got me approved for the payroll tax refund. With that money, it has allowed me to cover expenses, pay off debts, and plan ahead for next year with a positive outlook. If you have a business, you need to go to GetRefunds.com and start your claim now.
GetRefunds.com helped their business, and we can help yours too. Go to GetRefunds.com and see if you qualify in just 8 minutes. GetRefunds.com, powered by Innovation Refunds.
So it is ear, nose, and throat season, if there is one. I've just deemed it that. But if you have those ear, nose, and throat problems that are plaguing you each time the allergy season kicks up, or if you have sinus issues that just have been there your whole life and you're thinking, gosh, this is frustrating, maybe there's something that you can do about it. You should go to Gateway ENT. They're the best ENTs in the bi-state region. You can find them online and do your own research at gatewaydrs.com. That's gatewaydoctors.com. They are the oldest private practice ear, nose, and throat group in the bi-state region here. West County, Sunset Hills, and Festus are their locations. When you go to Gateway ENT, you are going to give them, if you give them a call or whatever, you can get in pretty quickly. A lot of people think, gosh, I don't want to call. I need help right now. It's going to take forever to get in. No, not with Gateway ENT. Call, schedule an appointment, mention the Annie Frey Show when you give them a ring, 314-843-3828, 314-843-3828. That's 314-843-3828, and get those pesky ear, nose, and throat problems taken care of by the very best. You'll be so glad you found Gateway ENT online at gatewaydrs.com.
You had a solid retirement dream, sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But inflation and recession has you wondering if all your hard-earned equity will still be there. What if you could recession-proof your equity right now? You can with Truehold. Truehold will buy your home for its best current value before a recession can erode it. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want, and Truehold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since Truehold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value. Visit Truehold.com and discover how much Truehold will buy your home for today based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's Truehold.com.
If you own a house in St. Louis and you want to sell it as is without any inspections or need to make any repairs, call Chris Buys Homes St. Louis at 314-782-8000 or at chrisbuyshomeSt.Louis.com and get your cash offer without any obligation, commissions, banks, or headaches. Chris buys vacant houses, inherited houses, fixer-uppers, beautiful houses, even the tenant won't pay their rent apartment. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. That's Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis, and check out the best reviews from satisfied customers. When you sell to Chris, you decide when you want to move, according to your schedule and your terms. Go to chrisbuyshomesinstlouis.com, Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis, or call 314-782-8000. That's 314-782-8000. And get the offer you have been waiting for. Chris Buys Homes in St. Chris Buys Homes in St. or call 314-782-8000.
4 distinct seasons, sometimes within a single day. Dave Murray's got you covered with Air Comfort Service heating and cooling weather. Every day on 97.1 FM Talk.
Some nights I stay up, cashing in my bad luck. Some nights I call it a draw. Some nights I wish that my lips could build a castle. Some nights I wish they just fall off. But I still wake up, I still see your
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
What do I stand for? What do I stand for? Most nights I don't know anymore.
Welcome back into the Annie Frey Show. Thanks for being with us. Beautiful Wednesday afternoon here in St. Louis. We appreciate your time and choosing us for a beautiful afternoon here on 97.1 FM Talk. We've been discussing in the first segment of this show a little bit about the backstory of our next guest. I'm so excited to welcome onto the Annie Frey Show Winston Marshall. He is a co-founder of the band Mumford & Sons, but he is now the host of a podcast that you absolutely must subscribe to. It's called Marshall Matters. Winston, thank you so much for your time today. It's great to connect with you.
Well, Annie, thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm such a fan of St. Louis, and I've had so many great shows there and such wonderful time there. It's so nice to feel like a small connection to that great city again.
That's fantastic. And you know, Mumford & Sons, what a wonderful band. That has been such great music that has been created. I'm sure that your visits here with Mumford & Sons, the fans here absolutely love it. We were talking about having you on the show before this show started. We have sister stations here who play music. It's all the buzz in the building here that you were going to be a guest on our show. And your story about why you'd be here on 97.1 FM Talk is a very interesting one. I gave a little backstory in the segment leading up to this, but you were no longer with Mumford & Sons due to your own choosing because you found yourself in what you've referred to as a Twitter storm because you made a statement that you didn't know was going to put you here. And I want to give you a little bit of opportunity to just kind of set the stage for us as to how you got to this point where now you're hosting a podcast about topics that are not to be discussed.
Yes, Annie, that's quite right. So in beginning of the year 2021, well, through the pandemic, I should say, I was tweeting about the books I was reading to my not very large social media audience. And one of the books, it wasn't Mao's Little Red Book, though I did read that. It wasn't Tolstoy's War and Peace, though I did read that. It was a book by a conservative American journalist documenting far-left extremism and the BLM riots of 2020 following the killing of George Floyd. And so I hadn't quite appreciated it, but I had tripped the invisible tripwire of one of those totemic issues that one must not blaspheme against, and that was BLM, and they were not to be criticized. And if you remember, during that period, musicians and artists were posting black squares as an example, and money was pouring in for the Black Lives Matter organization. Of course, the book that I tweeted about documented the other side of that time, that the 19 deaths in the first 14 days of the riots, most of which were, by the way, black people who had killed and died. All the businesses that were destroyed and looted, many of which were black businesses. And so I cared about it because I cared about Black lives. But of course, you criticize the Black Lives Matter movement, you get in trouble. So I ended up apologizing initially for tweeting about this book and accepting that perhaps I didn't know the whole story. I was forced to take time away from the band, and I spent time assessing my blind spots, as I was recommended to do. And the more I did, the more I realized I'd been right. And actually, those are really serious issues that need to be addressed and looked at. And so the only position I could to move forward truthfully and to stand by my word would mean to leave Mumford & Sons, which obviously was a very painful experience for me because I'd spent my entire adult life in the band, although now, 18 months later, I can tell you that it all feels like, I've made it the best of it. And as you say, I have this podcast now exploring taboo topics because what I think is many people are self-censoring. And we talk a lot about censorship and we talk a lot about free speech, but one of the deranged phenomena of the time is self-censorship. And many people feel like they can't say what they think for fear of social or professional repercussions. And so I feel like I actually have a bit of a responsibility now to address those topics, whether they be BLM, as I've noted already said, Antifa, far left extremism, whether it's the trans issue, whether it's climate activism. There's a lot of topics that are, if you say the wrong thing, even if you're just asking honest questions, you can get in all sorts of trouble. So I've been exploring that. I recently had the wonderful Michael Schellenberger, who climate activist and a Democrat gubernatorial candidate for California, and he's now exposing the problems in climate activism. He's a superb book called Apocalypse Never that I recommend, and I just interviewed him. I had Jordan Peterson discussing the role of the artist in a wonderful conversation, and many people across the spectrum from within the arts and without the arts, and it's been a wonderful thing, and I hope your listeners will enjoy it. I think they might.
I completely agree with you. I was listening to some of it on my ride into work today, and the episodes that you have there are incredibly consumable. Some of them are 20 minutes long. Maybe I see one here that went over an hour, and I'm sure that's just because the conversation's too good to stop with Coleman Hughes. But, I think when I'm listening to your story about how you get to this point where you've developed this podcast, which people can subscribe to wherever you get your podcast from, called Marshall Matters. It's a must-subscribe, must-listen-to podcast, and I encourage all of my listeners to check it out. The pivot that you had in your journey to where you are right now, because as you said, this had to have been incredibly painful for you to personally go through. This is a story for my listeners, but this is your life story. But you realized after being shamed and being silenced, and as you said, people telling you you need to see your blind spots, you took the time in that silencing to assess your original opinion, and you realized, I can't back away from this because then I'm contributing to this greater problem that would inevitably gobble up future people as this monster continues to grow. I'm wondering if you see now that more people are taking kind of your position, like, okay, maybe you tried to cancel me, maybe you won in one regard, but I'm going to fight back because just the idea of being able to discuss it, not even being right or wrong, but being able to discuss it is too important to back away from.
Well, actually, so in the period before quitting the band and taking back my apology, there's an essay by the Nobel Prize for Literature winner, Alexander Solzhenitsyn. He was Russian exiled in America, where he wrote the famous books. Well, actually, he wrote before Gulag Archipelago, but your readers might remember A Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich, if I remember that correctly. But the night he was exiled from Moscow in 1974, he published a letter called Live Not by Lies. It's a very short essay, which I recommend all people to listen. And in that period, for me, before quitting the band, I read that essay over and over again, and I felt more and more that I had been participating in the lie with that apology, and it really affected my consciousness. I lost weight. I wasn't sleeping. I didn't know a way out of it. I felt like I was participating in the lie. That the things, as I said earlier in this conversation, that those things didn't exist, or worse, were a force for good. And so. But there's an important other part of this lie that I'd like to stress for your listeners, because I was actually discussing with Alexander's son, Ignat, who, as well as being a great musician, is also a leading scholar on Alexander Solzhenitsyn's work. And he says, the thing about that essay is that actually Alexander's just saying, don't participate. Not all of us, Annie, are pugilistic, pugnacious types who need to stand up. No, simply we can choose to step and not participate. The Lord has a different calling for all our talents. And for some people, that will be to get and stand up and shout and say, no, that's wrong. But for other people, it's no. It's just, I'm not going to participate. It's as simple as that. It's a very simple recommendation.
Yeah, that is a fantastic recommendation, I believe, as well. We're speaking with Winston Marshall. He is a co-founder of the band Mumford & Sons. He is now the host of Marshall Matters, which is a podcast that you can subscribe to right now at this very moment, wherever you get your podcast from. You participate in, of course, this podcast. I've seen you do some media hits. We saw you on Glenn Beck. It was a really compelling conversation that you had with Glenn Beck. And I think that some people might be quick to try to put you into some sort of political camp, like maybe, he's an out right winger here in the United States. And I don't know that free speech really has a political party. It shouldn't. It doesn't seem like. How do you reconcile being a wildly successful musician? You still make music. You're still a practicing artist, but you're having these conversations in this podcast form. People are always going to want to put you in some sort of political box and either annex you to their cause or, separate, put distance between you and what they stand for.
Yes, quite. Well, it's certainly one of the fallacies of the time, which I think both progressives and conservatives make, is the fallacy of guilt by association. Oh, you are photographed that person, you must think like that, which is absolutely incorrect. And I have had progressive guests on my show, and I've had conservative guests on my show, and I will continue to have left-wing and right-wing voices and everything in between. Even, most of us are a mixture of both. It's not so simple as a binary. And I think that's an important part. No, I don't. I happen to be a liberal. I'm not a progressive. I'm not a conservative. I was raised in the UK, even canvassing for the Liberal Democrats, the equivalent of a sort of centrist party. But my ideas change, and I'm open to that. And I think people, if they're being honest with themselves, their ideas change. And if you're not open to having your ideas changed, then I'm afraid you're an ideologue. So I'm not really concerned about being. Glenn Beck, by the way, is a wonderful man. I'm sure we disagree on many things, and perhaps we agree on many things. It's neither here nor there. I believe in the Christian values, that we are all fallen, that we are all fallible, and that we are all loved by him. And so it doesn't matter to me where on the spectrum you are politically. It's not about that. We're people first and foremost.
Oh, man, that wonderful, wonderful statement. And I really do feel that propensity that at least Americans have to try to box people into a political ideology that should then define who you can and cannot speak to. It's incredibly limiting on actual progress.
Well, quite. We need conversation. How on earth are we supposed to be a coherent society moving forward? I love your great country, and I want to see a great America. And I hope that more conversation can be fostered. And it's the same. We're having similar issues here in Britain, to be honest. And I think it's not about tribal warfare. Truth, not tribe. And we get caught into the politics of it all. We lose ourselves. But just to remember, no, let's remember that we want the same things. We want a better world, and when you can remember that, conversation begins, I think.
Winston Marshall, tons of comments and compliments coming in on the words you're speaking here, referring to you as a breath of fresh air. Certainly, I would agree with those sentiments. I want to encourage everybody listening to go subscribe to Marshall Matters. Give the podcast a listen. You will be hooked, and we appreciate your time today here on the Annie Frey Show. Winston, thank you so much.
Annie, thank you for having me.
Of course, absolutely. He's the co-founder of the band Mumford & Sons. He's the host of Marshall Matters podcast, which you can subscribe to right now. No longer with Mumford & Sons. He stepped away from the band because he didn't want to bring the storm that was surrounding him into the band and the band's success. I did a quick search, and I didn't want to get – I felt like the drama in the scenario of Mumford & Sons as a band was not what I wanted to use my 12 minutes of speaking to him here on this show to discuss. There's articles that suggest that Marcus Mumford, who is the founder, asked him, actually really begged, is the quote here on nme.com, to stay in the band. But he didn't. What an articulate and what I would consider, he's risen above the noise that surrounds all of these incredibly important and difficult topics, where your perspective on life, your circumstances that you're raised in, that you find yourself living through, have an incredible effect on your perspective on a lot of these political issues. And the way the people who have the power keep you from having those conversations because they need you to not think. They need you to feel that you have an allegiance to a red shirt or a blue shirt. The more you think about those issues, and the more you discuss them, especially across ideologies and beliefs, the less that they can commoditize and market the essential idea that you should be here on this particular issue. You should think this way and only this way. And if you divert from that at all, then you're not qualified to be a part of this party anymore. I mean, that's the way they want us to think. And cross-contamination of people who have differing beliefs having discussions, that minimizes a political class from being able to commoditize you. Go subscribe to Marshall Matters. It's a podcast hosted by Winston Marshall, and incredible that he was willing to come on this show, and very, very high regards to St. Louis from his time performing here in this great city. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, no Wiggins America today. He's still taking his baths at home, just many baths. Brian Wiggins will be back tomorrow. But lots more Annie Frey show to come in the 1 o'clock hour. Deroy Murdock and Concha join us. So we will still have plenty to talk about. And your votes on the YouTube live chat poll, culminating throughout the show up until 2:45 when Hannah comes into the studio, reads your comments that you leave behind, and gives us the results on this poll. Is Elon Musk a hero? Yes, no, or too soon to tell? We'll be right back.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
What's your favorite four-letter word? Chances are you've said it more than a few times dealing with this crazy world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our four-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. And hope that your retirement plans don't take a back seat. You've watched inflation soar, and maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments. Find out how you may be able to save big on taxes. And find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call today to set up a meeting. 314-373-1598. That's 314-373-1598. Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax advice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory firm in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Stewie and Stewart's American Mortgage have a great opportunity for you right now. Rates have dipped a bit. In the last 90 days, they kept going up and up and up and up. It was not a great time to refinance unless you were facing what a lot of people are facing, which is high interest credit card debt, mounting debt that is getting harder and harder to pay down as those rates continue to go up. So maybe you refinanced and you did a little cash out because you have equity in your home and you got a high interest rate, but you were able to pay down that high interest credit card debt. Right now, though, rates have come down. And when you use the bagel loan to refinance that mortgage that, maybe you just refinanced, you can do it if it's in the last 90 days. Chances are the rates are lower now than they were before. You go to Stewie, you use the bagel loan, you refinance, and it doesn't cost you anything to do it. In fact, it's going to save you a ton of money because the interest rate's coming down. It's going to save you all that money in interest payments over the course of the years left on your mortgage. What you need to do is call Stewie to find out if he can help you. Text Stewie to find out if he can help you. 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan to find out more. NMLS number 226715.
The holidays are fast approaching, and it's the best time to call Zero Res. Book now and save before the holiday rush. Get 3 rooms, Zero Resified, starting at just $129 and a free room of fiber protectant for an $80 savings. Call 314-474-2020 or online, ZeroResSTL.com. Tell them that I sent you.
Brian Kilmeade here. I'm coming back to St. Louis December 9th at the Missouri Athletic Club for a Brian Kilmeade live event with my friends at 97.1 FM Talk. Enjoy a delicious filet dinner, cocktails, and we'll talk about my book, The President Freedom Fighter, and all the news that consumes the headlines. Plus, everyone who attends will receive an autographed copy of my book, now out of hardbound, paperback. For tickets, go to 971talk.com/events.
Brian Kilmeade Live is presented by Straight Realty.
I'm looking forward to seeing you December 9th.
For tickets, 971talk.com/events.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
Filtering the BS pushed by the mainstream media.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk.
97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Mama, who never was around, but she grew up tall and she grew up right with them Indiana boys on an Indiana night.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. And wonderful start to the show here. Winston Marshall was just our guest in the last 20 minutes. If you are streaming us on the Odyssey app, which is where you can listen to 97.1 FM Talk anytime, anywhere, you should rewind and pick him up at about 12:25. He is a co-founder of the band Mumford & Sons. He was canceled because he dared to tweet about a book that he read by Andy No, who is an Antifa exposer of sorts, and he works for the Post Millennial. And it's an incredible story. Winston Marshall's podcast is Marshall Matters, and Brad and I have subscribed to it. We encourage you to check it out as well. He has conversations with people about the topics that nobody's supposed to discuss. And I think that that's fantastic. A wonderful subject matter for a podcast. Right now, Fox News is reporting ex-Twitter safety chief admits Hunter Biden laptop censorship was a mistake. That's interesting. The former head of trust and safety at Twitter recently admitted that the social media company's decision to censor the Hunter Biden laptop story in 2020 was a, quote, mistake. During a sit-down with journalist Kara Swisher, ex-Twitter safety chief Yoel Roth said that despite concerns about the authenticity of the laptop story, it still did not reach a point where he wanted to remove the content, which was later censored anyway. Initial reporting suggested that Roth blocked user access from the October 2020 story, but the former Twitter division lead said the decision was not up to him. Quote, we did not know what to believe. We didn't know what was true. There was smoke, and ultimately for me, it didn't reach a place where I was comfortable removing the content from Twitter, but it set off every single one of my finely tuned APT-28 hack and leak campaign alarm bells. Roth repeatedly reiterated that despite big tech companies' high alert status and his personal feeling of responsibility to protect the, quote, integrity of conversations from foreign governments attempting to interfere in elections, it never rose to the level where he believed the story should be censored. Well, that's rich in November of 2022. We heard, what's the creator, Jack? Jack came out and said.
He said it in front of Congress.
Yes, it was a mistake. What? You can't come out and say that now and not own the repercussions of that.
You can't come out and say that. Like, you can't do that because that affected the outcome of the election. It absolutely affected the outcome of the election. And you can't just come out and be like, yeah, we got that one wrong, my bad. But continue to trust us to make sure we decide what is and is not misinformation.
I think he was one of the people that Elon Musk tweeted about him being like, this is the guy, he's the go-to for the future. And then he quit.
Mm-hmm.
He has resigned since then. Roth repeatedly reiterated that despite big tech companies' high alert status and his personal feelings of responsibility, what? So Swisher asked him, so it was a mistake? And he said, in my opinion, yes. Okay, moving on. Next. I just don't. What happens next? Elon Musk frees Twitter and frees you if you're on Twitter. And now it's as if they want to shut him down. The idea that Twitter is somehow unsafe.
The whole Mastodon thing I find incredibly funny. Like all these people that I follow posting, if it becomes unsafe for us here, this is where you can find me.
Yeah.
It's not that serious. Twitter is the only social media that I have. I really enjoy it. Like if I'm doom scrolling, I'm doing it on Twitter. And if it went away in about a week, we would all be okay, right? Its main function is to get you up-to-date news information, at least for people who work in the business.
Jessica Tarloff is the resident liberal on Fox News that you probably can't stand. I find her to be really smart, a bit predictable, but that's her role there, is to bring the leftist viewpoint on things. And I don't think that she compromises herself as a leftist to be on there. I appreciate her presence on Fox News. You may not, but I want you to think about what Fox News would sound like if everyone was just going, "You're right," and another thing all the time. That would be boring. The dynamic is added when you have somebody who's from the left articulating the leftist's point, and counterpoint is made from a conservative standpoint. And how brave is Jessica Tarloff to go on the 5 and be the one?
The one.
I'm going to talk about outnumbered. Is there a show on TV where there's an equal number of left and right?
No, I'm going to say no. I don't know of any offhand. Can't think of any offhand.
Certainly isn't The View.
No.
The View is called The View, not The Views.
Right. No, I can't think. And to your point about Jessica Tarloff being brave to go on there. I mean, think about who's opposed her. She's got Jeanine Pirro.
Yeah.
Jesse Waters.
That's Jeanine. She's soft.
Yeah. Jesse Waters, who's incredibly sarcastic.
Yeah.
Dana Perino, who's
smartest
sharp.
woman alive.
And then Greg Gutfeld. Need I say more?
Snarky.
Yeah.
And don't care.
No.
Yeah, I look at that and I think, okay, she steps into the fray and that opinion is needed. I wonder, we've got some people on our chat on a regular basis who are what I would refer to as leftists and not in a pejorative kind of a way. But I wonder if you hear Jessica Tarloff and you're like, yeah, that's right. You take it to him. Or if you think that she's a compromised version of the way I feel about conservative presence on The View. You can be a conservative female participating in conversations on The View, but you have to detest Donald Trump. First and foremost, more than you hold any conservative principle whatsoever, you have to swear your oath and allegiance to everything never Trump. And from there, they can kind of mix and match how they feel about things. I mean, Whoopi Goldberg said the other day, I saw this in a headline, and I'm not playing it, and this is as much as I'm going to discuss it. I think it was Whoopi Goldberg said that it depends on who you talk to as to whether or not the Taliban is a terrorist organization. It's I don't even want to know.
Ugh.
I don't even want to know the details on that. But I don't look at The View as a place where I'm going to go to get my news and information. I also don't look at Colbert as a place that I'm going to go and look at my news and information. But people probably didn't think that originally about The Daily Show and Jon Stewart. And Jon Stewart is really responsible for the entertainment industry crashing into the news industry on a consistent, daily consumable basis that brought a new demographic of people into the political landscape. I mean, if you look at how successful Jon Stewart, and I mean, I would watch Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart was kind of a Bill Maher for me, where he would make a point. Every once in a while, he would make a point, and I'd be like, I see what you're doing there, and I think that you're right. I don't agree necessarily with where you're going to take this after you make the point, your reaction to the point you're making, but the point I get. Super smart, super funny. It kind of grew into a place where I think the success kind of it became its own thing. But Bill Maher, I mean, if you look at Bill Maher and you see the stuff that he discusses on a regular basis, he's a classic liberal, and liberals today aren't classic liberals. Kind of got the vibe that maybe Winston Marshall is a classic liberal. But I mean, going back to the point of Marshall Matters, which is his podcast, I mean, the idea that we shouldn't even discuss certain topics, or that we had people on our live chat were concerned that he even had a specific guest on his show. Jordan Peterson goes on a show. That's the favorite word that makes me throw up in my mouth, problematic. I can't handle it. What's problematic about it? Listen to the conversation and then affirm that you think that Jordan Peterson is a piece of crap, or go, wow, he made some really good points. But you get to make your own call.
Right.
And your call can be different than mine.
And the thing about it is whenever you try to stifle speech, even bad speech, even wrong speech, when you stifle it like that, what you do is pique the interest of people. They want to know what they're saying so that they can Because what is it about what they're saying that's so bad that I'm not allowed to listen to it? And it makes people want to consume it more.
You're not allowed to listen to it because they're not afraid. They're afraid of what you're going to do with your freedom to think. And it's dangerous for Jordan Peterson to go out and speak on things, because the dangerous thing is that other people who have the right to think whatever they want to think might agree with him. But you don't get to police that. That's not yours to have.
Right.
And it becomes other people's to have if you surrender it, but you've got to give it up first. Winston Marshall didn't give it up.
Right. And the best way to combat what you don't like is to come up with strong counterpoints.
Hunter on our Annie Frey YouTube page commented, classic liberals are now progressive conservatives. That's a very interesting concept. I'm going to think about that on the break. And then Deroy Murdock's going to be here when we come back, which is fantastic because it's Wednesday and we're halfway through the work week. High five, everybody. You've made it this far. And then Joe Concha at 1:25. Lord knows he's going to have something to say. Don't go away. Annie Frey Show. Back in a second.
Attention, did you or a loved one live at or near Marine Base Camp Lejeune in North Carolina between 1953 and 1987? If so, listen closely for this important legal announcement. From 1953 to 1987, Marines and their family members at Camp Lejeune drank water that was contaminated with hazardous toxins. The toxins found in the water at Camp Lejeune may cause health issues, especially later in life. Types of health issues associated with water at Camp Lejeune are numerous. If you or a loved one lived near Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation without going to court. Even if you were turned down in the past, a new law can allow you to file a claim today. If you or a loved one spent time near Camp Lejeune, call the Negligence Network to find out if you're eligible for financial compensation. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call 1-800-600-5536. That's 1-800-600-5536. 1-800-600-5536.
Recent impacts with inflation, ongoing COVID concerns, and geopolitical conflict have us all and the markets on edge. Heisey Advisory Group understands the importance of having a customized strategy for retirement, especially during uncertain times, to help ensure these concerns don't have an impact on your retirement. Heisey Advisory Group is a St. Louis-based, family-owned and operated holistic retirement planning firm. Our team has defined a process that puts together all the pieces of the financial puzzle, working with all of your service providers to help develop an individualized plan that grows with you as your life changes and your needs evolve. If you're not confident that your retirement plan is on track to deliver the lifestyle you want amid historic levels of uncertainty, call us today at 314-328-6000. Again, that's 314-328-6000.
Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Firm provides insurance services. Investment advisory services offered only by duly registered individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
KFTK FM Florissant.
Driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group.
97.1 FM Talk.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Step 1 to avoid a rail strike. Lisa Brady, Fox News.
On this vote, the yeas are 290, the nays are 137. The joint resolution is passed.
Bipartisan support in the U.S. House for a bill imposing a settlement that 8 rail unions approved but 4 rejected. President Biden asking Congress to intervene with a strike deadline fast approaching next week, putting pro-union Democrats in a tough spot.
I'd rather have this settled between the parties at hand, but the absolute worst thing for our economy at this moment would be a rail strike.
Though Virginia Democratic Senator Mark Warner also wants to know why union leadership agreed to a tentative deal in September that didn't address a main concern, lack of paid sick time. The House also just passing a bill to add 7 days of paid sick leave to the deal, but only if the Senate passes both bills. And the president now urging the Senate to act quickly, saying critical materials like chemicals for clean drinking water could stop moving as soon as this weekend in preparation for a strike. New clues from the Fed chief about the central bank's next move on inflation. He's giving a speech suggesting they might tap the brakes on rate hikes.
Federal Reserve Chairman Jay Powell is saying that it might be appropriate to moderate the pace of interest rates at the December meeting. He's saying that they will hold the restrictive policy for some time, but signaling now a more moderate Federal Reserve coming in and slowing down to check on that lag effect. He does talk in the speech about the lag of monetary policy and how, it takes about 6 to 9 months in order to feel the effects of it.
Fox Business's Edward Lawrence at the White House. So far, inflation easing only slightly after 4 aggressive 3/4-point hikes, but Powell also still cautions against a premature easing of the Fed's inflation-fighting efforts. Stocks turning higher with Powell's remarks. The Dow is now up 202 points. America is listening to Fox News.
Missed Black Friday? Dell's Cyber Monday event starts now with deals on powerful business tech. The savings start now with up to 50% off on select business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL for Cyber Monday deals. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
At Simply Safe Home Security, we know in an emergency, the clock is ticking. So we designed an advanced security system powered by live 24/7 professional monitoring agents who use Fast Protect technology exclusively from Simply Safe to capture video evidence and verify a threat. Then alert police so you can get higher priority dispatch. Right now, get 40% off any new system. Visit simplysafe.com/holiday to save big today. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Air Comfort Service, heating and cooling, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
No question, a winter cold wind out there this afternoon. Lots of sunshine, though. Don't let it fool you. Only 38 for the high. Wind chills, you'll know it if you get caught in the wind. Tonight, clear, cold. Fading winds, 22 degrees Thursday. Sunny, less wind, but chilly, 42. And a pop to 55 Friday afternoon after a cold start. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Brian Kilmeade here. I'm coming back to St. Louis December 9th at the Missouri Athletic Club for a Brian Kilmeade live event with my friends at 97.1 FM Talk.
Brian Kilmeade Live is presented by Straight Realty.
For tickets, go to 971talk.com/events.
This is the time to take care of those sleep problems that you've been having. This is Ryan Wiggins. If you've been hearing me talk about the sleep apnea mouth retainers that you wear at night, they're so much more comfortable than a CPAP. But hey, they're more comfortable than you'd think, even if right now you're wearing nothing. Yes, I just compared them to wearing nothing while you sleep. I did that unintentionally, but I will state again that these retainers that you can get at Fountains Family Dentistry, I wear one and have been for over a decade now. Surprised looking back in the mirror that it's been that long. But I sleep great, and it really is because of that. You won't even know that you're wearing it. Visit fountainsfamilydentistry.com and use those benefits before the end of the year. Great time to do that. Easy to get to from no matter where you are. So even if you're in Missouri and you're going, Fountains Family Dentistry is in Illinois, it's right off of Highway 64. So easy to get to. Fountainsfamilydentistry.com is where you start. You can make an appointment right there. You can get a consultation too, but it all starts right there at fountainsfamilydentistry.com.
Goodwill and St. Louis Union Station have teamed up to take you under the sea and over St. Louis. When you donate a car, running or not, you can receive 4 tickets to the St. Louis Union Station's Aquarium and Wheel. Donating a car to Goodwill is quick and easy, and towing is free. Plus, you'll get a good feeling from donating to a charity that does so much in our community. For more information, visit mersgoodwill.org.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-777-1979. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-777-1979. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-777-1979. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-777-1979. 800-777-1979.
Everybody knows you gotta get it at Clement. Everybody knows you gotta get it at Clement. Find the car you want, new or used. Get it at Clement, get pre-approved. Everybody knows you gotta get it at Clement. Everybody knows you gotta get it at Clement. ClementAutoGroup.com.
Visit Shane Company. We have the largest selection of natural diamonds and lab-grown diamonds in all shapes and sizes, each one hand-selected for its beauty.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
St. Louis at around 9 Saturday night. Someone shot the victim while that person was sitting in a car parked on Geraldine Avenue near Harney Avenue. Investigators say the car also has damage from gunshots.
So there is a report from Fox 2 from today. I will add you. We have a guest in here. I'm so excited to have Will Scharf in here. We're going to talk a little bit about who Will is here in a second. But Brad was messaging me. He's like, "What kind of sound do you think?" I'm like, "Find something that's from a local news, TV news, and find some crime."
Can I tell you how much like murder and shooting within, I would say if I just took a 3-day picture on YouTube of just Fox 2, which is where that sound came from, there had to have been 7 or 8 different clips of this person was shot, this person was killed, this person was murdered, this person was whatever. I was just blown away by the amount of that in St. Louis.
Nobody talks about it because it's so common. It's unreal. What is really going on in the city of St. Louis? But honestly, probably St. Louis is a microcosm of what's taking place across the country. Well, Will Scharf knows a little bit about that. He's the former federal prosecutor for the Eastern District of Missouri. Yes, that includes right here in St. Louis. He's a former policy director for the Missouri Governor's Office, and he worked on confirmations of Justices Brett Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett. And Will is in studio with us here today. Will, thank you so much for coming in and joining us to have this conversation.
Thanks so much for having me. I've been a longtime fan of the show, and it's great to be here with you today.
Well, it's funny how you and I started this conversation because you put out a tweet thread, which if you follow Will on Twitter at Will Scharf, SCHARF, I highly encourage you go do that right now. You put out this tweet thread this weekend, and it struck me. It was actually sent to me by somebody close to me, and I read through it and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is super impactful. I'm going to let you tell the story. I'm not going to read your tweets to you. You sat down and you said you were on an airplane.
Yeah, so I left the U.S. Attorney's Office here after about 2.5 years in the violent crime unit there last week. I was flying home to see my family in Florida on Wednesday, and I was reading news reports like the one you just played about crime in St. Louis, and it struck me that most of the people in this area, probably even most of the listeners of your show, don't really understand how bad it is out there. And we have police officers who are facing incredibly dangerous situations on a daily basis, who are unappreciated, underappreciated, certainly. We have a serious overdose problem in this area from fentanyl. We have drug dealers going unpunished who feel totally above the law. So I just kind of let it all out on Twitter, and the response was it was heartwarming, but also overwhelming. I think people are really concerned with the state of the streets, both here in St. Louis and around the country. And I think that the lack of a serious policy response, both from our local government here, our state government perhaps, and certainly the federal government, has people really worried about the future of our cities and the future of crime in this country.
So the tweet thread says, things I learned working as an assistant U.S. attorney prosecuting violent crime in St. Louis, America's murder capital. Brad's talking about just looking for something to play to intro you, Will, when you come into the studio with us. There's a handful of violent crime that took place in St. Louis this weekend, and it is so common and so attached to the name St. Louis that it doesn't even really get that much attention anymore. What did you learn as an assistant U.S. attorney prosecuting violent crime in St. Louis?
I mean, first of all, just the pace of violence in this city is astounding. Every night there are shootings. The number of murders we have here, obviously, that's something that's widely covered. But for a city of this size, even for a region of this size, it's exceptional, and it's not getting better. One of the issues we were talking about just before we went on the air is most murders in this region go unsolved, and of those that are solved, that are cleared, the police arrest somebody because of the issues we've had with local prosecutors here. Many of those murderers go unprosecuted or don't end up spending any time in prison for those crimes. And that just leads to a serious lack of deterrence. If people aren't being punished for, even for committing murder, you're going to get more murders. It's basic economics in a way. And I think if you talk to any police officer who's working overnight shifts in the city of St. Louis, or even working day shifts, just the stuff they see on a daily basis, it's terrible, and it has to stop. And the fact that it's been going on for as long as it has in this region without a concerted policy response and without people really waking up to the situation that we have is really worrying.
I think about like political office and how if one is to run for political office, how they can make a difference. And I think about the mayor of the city of St. Louis. I think about Kim Gardner, who is supposed to be out there stopping violent crimes, any types of crimes from happening here in the city of St. Louis. And I have to wonder politically, the women specifically in those positions, where is their effort to make the city of St. Louis a safe place to live, a safe place to work, a safe place to tour, to come to a Cardinals baseball game, or to go to the city museum? We have so much rich culture here in the city, and everybody who comes to downtown to St. Louis feels like whatever they're attending, I guess it's worth the risk. That's quite a statement.
But there's a big difference between coming down for a baseball game and then going out and getting beers or getting dinner afterwards and spending time in the downtown area, or coming down to a baseball game, getting in your car and immediately driving back west because you don't want to be here after dark. I mean, I think when you look at Kim Gardner's office, you have some really good prosecutors in the circuit attorney's office, but they're completely overwhelmed. Your average violent crime prosecutor in that office probably has a caseload of 300, 350 cases at any given time. That's an impossible burden.
What is it? What you said? The average prosecutor has 300 to 350 cases a person?
Don't quote me on that. I'm spitballing a bit. But
what is it like in a non-murder capital of the world city?
I'd guess half that. Wow. For a normal DA's office in a normal city, but they're just overwhelmed. And what you see is cases, murders, assault ones, shootings, being pled out at much lower charges. And then we have an issue where some judges just don't believe in sentencing hardened criminals to long terms in prison. So in my tweet thread, I talk about, for law enforcement to work properly, it's a three-pronged stool. You need police officers making good quality arrests. You need your prosecutors bringing good quality cases, getting convictions. And then you need judges, who are willing to apply appropriate punishments to dangerous criminals. And I think in St. Louis, at times, we have none of those three. That the St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department's probably 400, maybe even 500 officers under strength for the task that they have. Kim Gardner's office has real problems prosecuting the cases that they has had real problems, not issuing cases, even where officers have made good arrests. And then on the back end, we have liberal judges who just don't believe in punishing criminals. And until we fix those three things, it's the future's not bright.
So we're speaking with Will Scharf. He's a former federal prosecutor for the Eastern District of Missouri, the former policy director for the Missouri Governor's Office, and a long history of working in a whole array of different legal situations. And I want to talk to you, if you can you stay for another segment?
I'm happy to stay as long as you'll have me.
Fantastic. Well, let's talk to Will Scharf when we return about Kim Gardner, her position as a circuit attorney, what she's doing, who she's supporting, who is she helping in her position. And honestly, because I was talking to him on the break about this, when a crime is committed in St. Louis, a murder is committed in St. Louis, what's the flow of that process? How is that person supposed to be put in jail? And what happens in St. Louis that has far few criminals behind bars serving the consequence of their actions? Will Scharf will explain that to us as somebody who's seen this from the inside on the Annie Frey Show when we return. Don't go away. So if you were just listening to that, their interview, and you want to hear how it turns out, you can check the podcast because that was from earlier this week. Sorry about that little delay there. We had some what turned out to be false alarms going off in the building and telling us we needed to evacuate or whatever. And
I've never heard that alarm go off.
We didn't need to, it turned out, but I instructed the crack production staff here to fire off an interview and prepare to get out of the building and not. You don't need to go down with the ship. Sorry, listeners. But it was a false alarm. It's nothing. We are in a building that's got apartments and everything in it. So whatever that was, it was. If you want to hear the rest of that conversation we had with Will Scharf from earlier this week, you can check out the Annie Frey Show podcast because it was a really interesting guest. I really appreciated Hunter's comment that said maybe I hit it big on a scratcher in the break, scratcher ticket, and just decided to leave. If you're ever in one of those situations where all of a sudden you've got to like make a quick crack decision, and I was like, people were going, it's probably nothing. I'm like, I'm not wanting to be in the probably nothing camp and be wrong. So
everybody, I got to see some different reactions from people. Anna and I just instantly turned around and looked at each other because I know that she was wondering, have you heard this alarm? And I have not ever heard that alarm.
It's a bit of a disrupting experience. Have you heard? Do you hear that? That's playing right now? You couldn't not hear it.
No.
You called Deroy Murdock.
I did. In the middle, I called Deroy and I'm like, hey, there's some alarms going off in the building. We're trying to figure it out. And he goes, uh-oh, fire. And I was like, no, I don't think it's that. I'm like, we'll be in contact with you. And he's like, it's okay. He's like, you go figure that out. Good luck. I was like,
maybe you should leave and stop talking to me.
I know.
It
was so instantly like, he just was like, oh, like he could hear it. It was super loud. And I think my heart rate is just now going back to normal. Annie, I looked at you and
you said my name.
Your motherly instincts, I just was looking. I'm like, give me an answer of what to do. Yeah. Are we running? Are we staying? Are we on air? What's going on?
This alarm is going off, and people are like kind of looking around, and I'm moving back and forth. I'm taking control. You said the mom thing. That's funny because I'm walking up to people in this building that like far outrank me, and I'm like, what are we doing? Are we broadcasting or not? Do we need to get out of here?
The only one who was taking initiative. Everybody else was just standing there.
Jake from Y98 was videoing it. I don't know, were we live? He's like, let's video this ship go down.
No, Annie was the only one taking initiative, and I was right behind her. I was like, yeah.
Wherever she goes, I go.
Yeah.
But the whole idea, and what is it, 99 times out of 100, like these are false alarms. But I don't want to be the one going, the show must go on. Get in the studio and let's do their best broadcasting ever. I'm like, heck no. I got kids at home. I got a husband who loves me. I'm getting out of this building if I need to. and the broadcasters are like, Just get back in the studio. It's nothing. Somebody, yeah, this is what I was doing.
She's like, Brad, fire off an interview. And then she left.
Yeah.
She didn't tell me what to do after that,
No,
fortunately.
that's fine. All he needs is an interview.
I trusted you to take care of it, and
And
you did.
Brad, what did we say before the show today? We were saying we needed some interviews just for backup. And then, look, we needed it.
You guys are funny on the chat. Get people saying that Ryan Wiggins is somewhere pulling fire alarms. I know it'll get him. See how they handle this one.
He probably
Andy's
will.
outside bossing everybody around.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm
Across
telling
the
you.
street, line up. Let me take roll.
Single file
Trisha.
line, no speaking.
Jake, present.
This is radio, so there's food sitting out in the kitchen. There's like
Always.
a casual group of people that have surrounded. They're just eating the food, waiting to find out if we're gonna die.
Yeah.
But the free food. Someone get the food.
You know how we should wrap this segment? We should give away tickets.
Okay. No, I thought we said 145.
We did.
Well, we can't say 145 and not do 145.
all right,
Now
we'll do
we've told everybody.
I'm
We'll
not
do
ready for my
145.
heart rate to jump back
Hannah's
up
not
again.
ready to do the phones.
Are we gonna get Deroy back on?
Yeah,
Can he do
when?
145?
Okay, I'll go ask him. Hopefully he answers.
The fire is under control. Probably. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know how much of that you could see on the whole video, but we did just leave but we're fine. It was a non-emergency emergency. And we stick the landing. Thanks for being here. Thanks for still being here. If that happens again, then maybe we were wrong in our assessment. But we'll try to get Deroy Murdock on because we want to discuss with him about Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock in their Georgia race, among other things. And when we come back, let's talk to Joe Concha. Hopefully no dramatic audibles to be called. And we'll just talk to Joe Concha when we come back like we plan to. Thanks for being here on the YouTube live stream. We're streaming on Facebook as well. These are the types of things. If you're like, what the heck is going on? You could peek behind the curtain and see the panic with your own two eyes. It's always quite something. Joe Concha on the Annie Frey Show when we come back.
Now the more you talk, the less I can say. Oh, I'm looking for attention. I don't know.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Just walk away. Just walk away.
Congress has authorized trillions in new spending, along with doubling the size of the IRS agency in just the last few months. Do you think that is by accident? No, it is with a purpose, to go after small businesses, employees, and individuals who have not filed or paid their taxes. If this is you, don't panic, just call. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm in St. Louis. Interest and penalties on your tax bill won't stop until you take control. Call me, Lance Drury. I'll tell you in advance an affordable fee which includes costs and expenses that works for your business and family. Your first visit to the Lance Drury Law Firm is free and confidential, so you have nothing to lose. Call me today. Remember, if you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. You need an attorney. You need us, the Lance Drury Law Firm. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to Lance, DRURYlaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
I love talking to you about Water Sweets Soap Company, the destination for so many amazing Christmas gifts, holiday gifts this holiday season. WaterSweetsSoap.com. WaterSweetsSoap.com. Use the promo code Annie and save 10% on your order. When you use their bath essentials, you can experience what it means to bathe clean. There are no added chemical preservatives. Bathing clean is the way you can cleanse your body without added unnatural preservatives or chemicals. And the best part that I love so much about Water Sweet Soap Company is that it's all made right here in the Metro East. This is the epitome of shopping local. They use as many American-sourced ingredients as they can. And those ingredients, there's not a whole lot that goes into their soaps because they try to keep them as natural and simple as they possibly can. Your experience of using their signature body bars, their sugar scrub, which is my absolute favorite. Get the energy scent if you're just trying it for the first time. Absolutely my favorite. They have men's scents that your husband, your significant other, the men in your life, they're going to love these, I promise. Plus the best hydrating skin lotions around. You can check it all out at watersweetssoap.com.
If you own a house in St. Louis and you want to sell it as is without any inspections or need to make any repairs, call Chris Buys Homes St. Louis at 314-782-8000 or at chrisbuyshomeSt.Louis.com and get your cash offer without any obligation, commissions, banks, or headaches. Chris buys vacant houses, inherited houses, fixer-uppers, beautiful houses, even the tenant won't pay their rent apartment. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. That's Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis. And check out the best reviews from satisfied customers. When you sell to Chris, you decide when you want to move, according to your schedule and your terms. Go to chrisbuyshomesinstlouis.com. Google Chris Buys Homes in St. Louis or call 314-782-8000. That's 314-782-8000. And get the offer you have been waiting for. Chris Buys Homes in St. Chris Buys Homes in St. or call 314-782-8000.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Wednesday afternoon, it's our weekly visit with Brian Kilmeade, who's getting set to visit St. Louis next week.
Weekdays from 3 to 6. The Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Tell me something. What you know, Joe?
The word on the street is that you guys aren't allowed to be liberal anymore. Is that the case?
I don't think we ever were liberal.
What?
Yes, I don't think we ever were liberal.
Not me saying that. That's the people out there saying that he's not letting you be liberal anymore.
Well, listen, I think what Chris is saying is that he wants Republicans, sensible Republicans. He wants us to hold people to account, but he wants people to come on and feel comfortable with coming on and talking on CNN and appearing on CNN. So if you invite someone in your house, you want to make them comfortable, but also by the nature of what we do, we have to hold people to account. And so that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going liberal or conservative or whatever. It just means that we are doing what we do, and that's good journalism.
Don't you love that Don Lemon's delusion is we're not liberal, we're just right? I mean, give me a break here. The whole country, whether they watch CNN because they love that it's liberal or not, knows where CNN has been, all except for Don Lemon. But I guess the Kool-Aid has tasted too rich for too long. Joe Concha follows all of this, of course, and I bet he has something to say about this. He's a political columnist at The Hill, a Fox News contributor, and an author of the book, Come On, Man, The Truth About Joe Biden's Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Presidency. Joe, welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. What do you think about Don Lemon?
Well, Annie, I hope that the audience can hear me because earlier today I hurt myself. Where it's a little hard to breathe. I just want to put that out there for you and for your listeners because when I first heard Don Lemon say that CNN has never been liberal, I broke 2 ribs laughing, and it's so
painful
and funny at the same time.
You're
I'm
still laughing,
again, and it really hurts, but it's worth it, Annie.
He's a comedian.
Who
knew?
Begin?
Yeah, I mean, delusion, right?
It's still. Let me begin with Stephen Colbert, by the way. All right. He says, the word on the street is you're not allowed to be liberal anymore. You know who Stephen Colbert's best friend in the whole world is?
Who?
Chris Licht. Who's that? CNN's new president. Why are they new best friends? Because Chris Licht was the executive producer of Colbert for the past 7 years. Worked together every day.
Word on the street.
Word on the street is, shut up. And by the way, Don Lemon, no, we've never been liberal. How do you think you get on a show like Stephen Colbert's? I believe you have to be, liberal in these situations.
Don't hurt your
right?
ribs. Don't hurt your ribs, Joe.
You're right.
Take it easy.
Sorry, I got a nice pack on. Yes. I'll throw some stats out at you, okay? Just real quick. I'm sorry I cut you off. Harvard, which isn't exactly a bastion of conservative sentiment, okay? Back in when Trump took office, right? And then they studied the coverage of him in his first year. And they found that 93% of the coverage from CNN was negative. All right? That's Harvard coming to that conclusion. Oh, no, but they play it down the middle. And that's the thing. That's why you hear chants of CNN sucks at Trump rallies, right? Mm-hmm. Because they continue to insist that they are objective and they're just tough journalists asking the tough questions. When at least, you'll never hear an MSNBC sucks chant. I'm not saying they don't suck, but they don't at least try to pretend that they're down the middle. They are who they are, and they wear it on their sleeve, and I guess they do it proudly.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. If it wasn't Don Lemon, it was the media kid that was there, Stelter, right, who also would say the same thing. You're like, come on, just Own it.
Yeah.
Own it, and I'll respect you at least in the morning.
Exactly. That's a wonderful point. Joe Concha with us right now. Let's go to Colbert's original question that Don Lemon just completely sidestepped, that CNN isn't allowed to be liberal anymore. Do you think that's even true?
No. I think the minute, that the presidential campaign starts out, then we're going to see them revert back to, well, not revert. They never really left. Back to being exactly the activists that they were. Now, it was just announced, Annie, maybe about 35 minutes ago, that CNN is conducting massive layoffs today, and the people who are going to get laid off are not the people behind the scenes. They're going to be the ones that you see on television, mainly contributors. I'm a contributor at Fox, for example, so I don't have a show, but I'm on the air a lot. So you're going to see a lot of people like that being let go. And then from there, I just got to look at what they do in terms of who do they promote and who do they continue to keep on the air? And all I know is that Don Lemon, if they're really going to go to the middle, I'm pretty sure that you don't give him another hour of airtime like they just did by giving him the morning show if you're serious about going to the middle, Annie.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. We're speaking with Joe Concha, who is a Fox News contributor. I hear you saying CNN's gonna they're gonna have some layoffs here. That's a lot of people across the country right now. A lot of businesses are experiencing layoffs, and it's kind of interesting to juxtapose that with CNN. Like, I wonder what CNN would blame for layoffs at CNN. Is it the content? Is it the quality of contribution? Or is it the economy? And if you were to blame the economy, gosh, I wonder who would have to shoulder the blame for that?
Well, precisely. I mean, you look at Amazon, for example, right? All we hear about is Elon Musk and how horrible he is because he's done all these layoffs at Twitter. All he basically said is, if you want to work here, then you stay here. If you're not willing to work, you're not going to be loyal to the product and make us better than go. And a lot of people took their severance packages. And now Twitter seems to never be running better, by the way. Its usage is at an all-time high. There haven't been any blips, and they're doing it with 10% of the staff that they had before, right? But 90% gone. But all that said, Amazon, for example, they just they're laying off 10,000 people, right? Yeah. But that's Jeff Bezos. So that makes it okay because he owns the Washington Post. And Facebook, Meta, 11,000 layoffs. And, by the way, they'll also be doing a hiring freeze. Same with Disney, same with Microsoft. The point is, yes, it's an overall economy. Many analysts, many CEOs of banks are saying that a recession is coming, and that'll be happening probably in early 2023. And these are just companies getting ahead of it.
Yeah, it's hard to try to, if you're a CNN or if you're a left-leaning media outlet, to try to take the existence that everybody understands and has been talking about pre-election, inflation, gas prices, supply chain issues causing products to cost more at the grocery store, along with inflation. That's kind of like a personal thing. But on this wide scale, people are going to start losing their jobs. The Biden administration has touted the jobs numbers this entire time, saying we're not in a recession specifically because of these jobs numbers. Do you think that we get to the point where the Biden administration, from these left-leaning media outlets, does he start to have to shoulder some of this blame, or is there always going to be that level of protection that comes from the agenda-driven media?
Oh, it'll always be a level of protection. I mean, we saw it with the midterms, right? We saw where actually Fox was accused, by CNN, by the way, by their wonderful media team, that we only push crime stories because we're trying to scare voters, that it really doesn't exist. It's more sensationalized than anything else. And then, of course, you look at the stats, the data from police precincts from across the country, particularly from major cities like New York and Philadelphia, Atlanta, Minneapolis, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Portland, that shows that it's way up, right? Particularly violent crime. So Biden gets a pass on that. He gets a pass on the economy that, we're really at zero inflation because the inflation didn't go up from last month to next month. So therefore it's leveling off. It's going down. It's still a 7.7%. Let's put it this way. Donald Trump, when he left office, it was at 1.4%. So we're still talking like 6 times higher, yet he gets a pass because, it's coming down from an all-time high. So I guess things are improving because of the actions of the Biden administration. Gas prices, the border. I'm still, quite frankly, a little bit in shock about the midterms and the way they turned out. That given the conditions on the ground, this should have been a blowout in the Senate, should have been a blowout in Congress. And I think the media protecting Biden had something to do with that as far as the losses not being as great. And also the fact that some folks will just vote against a party no matter what it does in terms of their own personal lives because they've been trained to think that one side is bad and one side is very good. It's like good versus evil. It's like Star Wars, except it's the United States of America. Go figure.
Joe Concha with us right now on the Annie Frey Show. I think about those midterm elections and, Joe Biden should have been on the ballot because his policies that's where we are right now. It has to do with the Biden administration's leadership. So that is on the ballot. But successfully, the leftists were able to continue Donald Trump's presence on the ballot. Certainly, Donald Trump was invested in trying to keep his name involved in that election. And it just seems to me, going to what you're saying, people are going to vote against a certain party no matter what. Doesn't matter how bad it is. The allegiance to that political party is the presiding factor that goes into someone's vote. You think Donald Trump is going to be somebody who continues to be a part of every election until Donald Trump is officially no more?
Unless he's beaten by his own party, then yes. In other words, if there's a nomination process, and of course there will be, and then on the way to the nomination, let's say that's determined in April, May of 2024, and let's say Ron DeSantis beats him soundly, even to the point where, folks who say the votes are rigged and the establishment's trying to get DeSantis won, so they're fixing votes for him now. Unless Donald Trump is beaten like if it's a boxing match by knockout, then yeah, he'll always be on the ballot. But that's the worry that some folks have as far as with Trump running, that we saw during the midterms. I'm not blaming him for them. I just listed a lot of reasons why Republicans didn't do as well. But you can't not look at the candidates that he supported in Oz and in Masters and Herschel Walker down in Georgia. Herschel still has a chance of winning, of course. And you look particularly at Herschel and you say, wait a minute, Kemp won by 8 points over Stacey Abrams and Herschel couldn't ride even those coattails to victory. Why is that? Is it Trump? Is it because they're bad candidates themselves? I'm not sure. I just wonder if Donald Trump, after all these years, remember, he came onto the political scene in 2015, if he still has the juice and the gas. More importantly, can he win white suburban voters, blue dog Democrats, the type that feel the Democratic Party left them for elitists in the city, the little guy that they used to say, yeah, that's what Democrats are for, and now that this party isn't about us anymore. Those types of voters, particularly put them over the top in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, independents. Can he still get those folks, or is it all baked in that people look at Donald Trump and they have one opinion or the other, regardless of the policy? I don't know yet. I'm out of the I'm out of the predictions business after those midterms, that's for sure. And Donald Trump, whenever you bet against him, he tends to show you, boy, you're an idiot, like every time. So I'm going to stay out of that. Those are just the questions I have right now, as we're something like 700 days from the 2024 election. Boy, we got a long time to think about
706. I have a countdown on my phone. Yeah, it's just like counting down the end to Joe Biden's presidency, I hope. You've written a whole book about it called Come On Man. People can check that out. You mentioned the only way that the Trump factor will be overcome if that's the direction the Republican Party decides to go into. I find that people who are Trump supporters are not anti-Ron DeSantis. They just want Ron DeSantis to wait his turn, and they don't think 2024 is Ron DeSantis' time. Should DeSantis choose to challenge Trump, can Ron DeSantis, in your opinion, successfully come out of that intact? And do you think the Republican Party would be broken in two for a generation's time, or do you think they'd come out potentially even stronger because of it?
The feedback I get from core Trump supporters, not to my face necessarily, but online, so you don't really know how real it is, they say that DeSantis is actually a part of the establishment, part of the swamp. He's owned by Jeb Bush and Paul Ryan. And you're like, all right, I've watched the way this guy's governed, and I'm pretty sure that he's his own man, right? That he kind of goes by the beat of his own drum, and he's very disciplined. And I wonder, a Trump versus DeSantis sort of matchup, once Trump goes into the name calling, like Ron DeSanctimonious, and he's just an average Republican governor, and all those things he said the day DeSantis was dealing with a hurricane that was hitting the state. I wonder if that's going to work, because I'm pretty sure from what I've seen from DeSantis, he's not Jeb Bush, and you're not going to be able to blow him over, with a couple of nicknames and insults. But what happens from there, right? Let's say DeSantis wins. Do the core Trump supporters say, this is BS, I'm not going to vote for him, he's part of the establishment, or do they get behind the candidate? Or does DeSantis make up for those who are hardcore Trump supporters and brings in the type of people he did during his gubernatorial victory by 20 points, which was Democrats in places like Miami-Dade County? We'll have to see. But to this point, though, what I've seen from DeSantis is that when Trump has gone after him, he hasn't said a word.
Yeah.
And that's smart.
Oh man,
That's
that's really the only option. Last question before we let you go. We're speaking with Joe Concha, one of our favorite guests here on the show. The Republican Party has a lot of litmus tests as to whether or not you get to get up that morning and still wear your red uniform. Does the Democrat Party do the same thing, and we just don't see it? Maybe I'm more on the right for sure. Does the Democrat Party cannibalize itself the way the Republican Party tends to?
No, they're very much in lockstep. I mean, they're all rallying behind Biden now, right? They, he's going to be replaced. He's not going to run. That's the end of it. And now they're kind of rallying around him, which is just unbelievable. Because when you think about that, if Biden runs and wins, he'll be 86 years old and still in the Oval Office. And I saw the 79-year-old version. I'm pretty sure I don't want to see the 86-year-old version.
86 is an accomplishment. It would be the one accomplishment.
Well, yeah. I mean, remember when he first ran, he would have been one of the youngest presidents in history. It would have been Kennedy, then him in 88 if he had won then. And now he's the oldest. Boy, that's such a great question. I just think in the end, people don't seem to be very much about solutions and issues in this country. It's all about name calling and how Elon Musk is going to destroy the country. Like that seems to be the main thing that I'm hearing about right now. And all I know is I was able to tweet today because the site is still running. So go figure.
Well, don't worry. You're pretty a little ahead about it because we're only 706 days away from the 2024 election.
706. That's right. Oh, by the way, let me walk you through before you go.
Yeah.
I was in a car when we first started this interview on my cell phone. Then I went through a monsoon at one point, but kept my cool somehow.
You've seen things.
Then came inside. You ever see Batman the movie, but the one with Adam West?
Yeah. A while ago.
And he's trying to get rid of a bomb, and every time he tries to, there's ducks, there's nuns. He can't get rid of a bomb. I couldn't find a quiet place to talk to you.
It was wonderful. And you did this with 2 broken ribs the entire time.
I mean, thank you. Yes, I'm in the old O'Reilly studio. Eventually, I wanted to hear no one's in here. But like, I go into one green room and there's people like having a party there, and I go into a bathroom, but I can't because it's locked. I'm like, where am I going to do this?
They're playing a prank on you. This is all contrived against you, of course.
I know it.
Joe, we always appreciate you.
Thanks, Annie.
We'll talk to you again. Take a 5-minute break. You'll be fine.
Thank you. Hey, get my ice pack. All right, thanks, Annie.
No problem. Ice and ibuprofen. Joe Concha, political columnist at The Hill, Fox News contributor, and his book, a great Christmas gift for the right person on your list. I'll just put it that way. It's called Come On, Man. And it's the truth about Joe Biden's terrible, horrible, no good, very bad presidency. I should have said this to him. 706 days left in Joe Biden's presidency. He could have like a whole series of that book. That could be edition 1. And then you could probably have like a Chronicles of Narnia by the end. We could go all through the presidency.
What do they call them, like addended or amended or
something
whatever?
Like that. I don't know. Just keep cranking
them.
those things out. I got to think that the content basically writes itself. All right. Joe Concha, always wonderful to speak with him. And go ahead and call and confirm with him. We're still waiting to see if Deroy can make it.
Yeah, we're still waiting to see.
All right. Deroy was part of if you missed the excitement in the very beginning of this hour, we had some alarms going off in the building. They were false alarms. Everything was fine. We were supposed to have Deroy Murdock on at 1 o'clock, and we had to push him back. So hopefully he's with us when we come back. If not, we will reconnect with him again very soon. And you're going to want to stick around because we're going to have a little fun when we return in that 1:45 segment. Just a few minutes from now, you're going to want to be listening. Just all I'm going to say. Stick around. Maybe Deroy Murdock in just a second.
I don't know. Mama tried to tell me
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Couldn't even see a movie show. So what you know, Joe? I just can't figure. I'm back to doing what I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Hi, this is Arnold, owner of the Good Feet store. Does it feel like someone is stabbing a knife into your heel? Does your lower back hurt more and more as the day goes on?
I had to go nonstop from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. Every time I stood up, pain just shot up my legs. Fortunately, I found the Good Feet store. I went to them after my doctor diagnosed me with plantar fasciitis. Now, thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm 100% pain-free.
Come to the Good Feet store this holiday season and give the gift of pain relief to you and your loved ones.
Call 314-317-9494 or visit one of our 2 locations on Olive, Catty Corner from TGI Fridays, or in Shiloh, Illinois, across from Deerbergs.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Individual results may vary. Consult your physician for medical conditions. Visit the website goodfeetStLewis.com. Come in and try the good feet feeling today. Flex spending and gift cards available. Some restrictions apply.
IGotFloor.com website that you can go and do a little pre-shopping at Michael's Flooring Outlet. If you are in the market for new carpet for your home, if the carpet that you have in your house right now, you ever move the furniture off of the floor where carpet is and you see like, oh, that's what the carpet used to look like, because where you have been walking in your home and living and all of it changes color, it gets dingy, it gets worn. If you haven't replaced your carpet in a long time and it's on your list of things to do, you might want to check out that Smart Strand Mohawk Silk Carpeting at Michael's Flooring Outlet. They are beautiful, beautiful flooring. It is a high quality product, and Michael's Flooring Outlet can walk you through this whole process to make sure that your budget is going to be matched and you're going to get the customer service that you deserve. Value is a key thing at Michael's Flooring Outlet. And when you go shopping for your flooring purchase, you're probably going to go a few places and check it out. Do not leave Michael's Flooring Outlet out of your shopping experience. They're going to earn your business. You can learn more online at igotfloor.com.
Yes, missed you this morning. Kim told me you weren't feeling well, so I'm just doing a self-care check.
Oh, thank you, friend.
How you doing?
Girl, listen, my energy was so low because I didn't eat breakfast when I got up, so I had to miss virtual yoga with y'all.
Trust me, I understand.
But I'm doing much better now that I've eaten, so I'm back on track.
Great. In that case, let's get some steps in tonight. I'll come over and we can walk around the lake.
Sounds good. Appreciate you being in my business, too. Now, let me get in yours. Did you check your blood pressure today?
I did that and my squats, okay?
Okay.
High blood pressure is not going to be my friend if I can help it. See you at 6?
Let's get it. See you then.
Now more than ever, it's important that we protect our hearts and the hearts of those we love. Check in on one another and be a part of a healthy blood pressure movement. Rally your squad to take the online pledge at releasethepressure.org. Brought to you by the Release the Pressure Coalition and the Ad Council.
Hey, here's a holiday gift from Bed Bath & Beyond. Now through December 11th, get 25% off one item by texting GIFT to 239663. That's 239663. New offers every day at Bed Bath & Beyond. Exclusions apply. See website for details.
Brian Kilmeade here. I'm coming back to St. Louis December 9th at the Missouri Athletic Club for a Brian Kilmeade live event with my friends at 97.1 FM Talk. Enjoy a delicious filet dinner, cocktails, and we'll talk about my book, The President Freedom Fighter, and all the news that consumes the headlines. Plus, everyone who attends will receive an autographed copy of my book, now out on paperback. For tickets, go to 971talk.com/events.
Brian Kilmeade Live is presented by Straight Realty.
I'm looking forward to seeing you December 9th.
For tickets, 971talk.com/events.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling and Insulation Studio. Make sure your furnace is ready to safely heat your home this fall. For heating service, repairs, or a new HVAC system, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Celebrating 22 years as St. Louis's home for conservative talk. 97.1 FM Talk. Thanks for being a part of it. This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Excuse me. I'm so excited to be able to have Deroy Murdock on the show with us now. We were supposed to have him earlier. We had a little bit of a momentary emergency that turned into a non-emergency. Deroy, thank you for coming back on with us and being flexible with us while we figured out whether we needed to evacuate or not. We did not have to evacuate.
Annie, I'm glad it turned out to be just a little comical moment as opposed to anything serious. So let's be thankful for that.
I was running around the studio here and giving everybody directions, and I was like, Hannah, call Deroy and see if we can reschedule with him. And she was on the phone with you, and we're gracious for your flexibility.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
We're speaking with Deroy Murdock. He's a nationally syndicated columnist, and he's a Fox News contributor as well. The Georgia election, the runoff election, is next Tuesday, and there's so much drama. It's interesting to be outside of Georgia. An incredibly impactful election for the entire country. But after the kind of, the rigors of the midterm election, looking at what's going on in Georgia and all of the mud that's being slung back and forth in this particular race, it's kind of exhausting to take in. But the implications of the outcome of it still affect everybody in this country.
That's absolutely right. And I think the word exhaustion is apropos here. I think after the long, drawn-out midterm elections, which didn't turn out quite the way that a lot of people, or really quite the way anybody expected, I think a lot of folks on the right and Republicans, conservatives are just kind of tired and ready to move on to the eggnog and Christmas parties and all that other stuff. But we've got some important work to do, which is to make sure that we have a 50-50 Senate with the committees evenly divided, with as many people, as many Democrats as Republicans on the Judiciary Committee, Finance Committee, and the rest of them, where it really becomes difficult for Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer to push through their radical, crazy ideas if they at most get split votes. If Raphael Warnock wins rather than a 50-50 Senate, which would be what happens if Herschel Walker wins, if a Democrat Raphael Warnock wins, it'll be 51-49. Every committee then will have a majority of, and it'll be a lot easier to get things through the committees if you've got a majority of Democrats on those committees pushing through radical nominees, pushing through crazy judges, and so on. And that'll just make it that much easier for Joe Biden, Chuck Schumer, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and company to get all sorts of terrible things out of the Senate. And also the 50-50 split, which is what will happen if Herschel Walker and his candidacy prevail next Tuesday. You will need Kamala Harris, the vice president, to come in to split or to break the ties if they're tie votes. If Warnock wins and it's 51-49, she can run off, jet off, and do whatever she wants. She won't have to be around to split tie votes or to break the ties. And again, it'll make it a lot easier and a lot faster for them to do a lot of damage. So if you want to make Chuck Schumer's life easy, then relax, go shopping, take it easy. If you want to make life more difficult for Chuck Schumer and the crazy Democrats, go to teamherschel.com and do what you can to help Herschel Walker win next Tuesday. And this is very important, not just for people in Georgia, but folks in the other 49 states over which the U.S. Senate has so much sway and so much influence.
We're speaking with Fox News contributor and nationally syndicated columnist Deroy Murdock on the Senate race, the runoff race in Georgia. I look at that particular race and compare it to what we experienced going through the midterms. And of course, we're kind of thinking a little bit ahead now about 2024. I guess that's the natural progression of things. And I'm a little dismayed and probably naive in my thought that I wish we were campaigning and winning and losing elections based on topics and issues that matter to the American people. And I don't know if it's something we can get back to, but it's so ugly and it's such a turnoff for voters to see all of the attacks and the slanders that go back and forth. Is that just part of the game now? People are going to have to get used to that? Or do you think we'll get to the point where we do discuss actual issues and that's what matters to people who go to the ballot box to cast a vote?
Well, I think we'll always be interested in issues, everything from are you able to pay your rent, are you able to pay for food, can you take care of your loved ones, et cetera. That's always going to be an important matter to voters. But as you're right, you are correct. People also get caught up in personalities. What are people's backgrounds? Is this person likable or unlikable? I think there are a lot of voters who respond to sort of the candidate's tone and manner and feel. But I think important issues and philosophy and ideas and beliefs are also very important. And people like us usually push that sort of thing. It's important to get people to focus on that. And I think the more we do that, the better. The less we focus on personalities, generally speaking, the better. But there are some people who I think go to the polls based on, he seems nice, or this person seems friendly, or, she's beautiful, or he's cute, or whatever. And, I think it's people like us need to remind folks, that person might be physically attractive, but that person wants to, take away your freedom and impoverish your bank account and either, surrender to bad guys or lead us into war, versus somebody else who might not be all that personally pleasant, but actually is interested in things like making the American people more free, more prosperous, and keeping this country safe. So I really wish people would focus on those important things and less on sort of the atmospherics and the aesthetics that very often motivate a lot of voters.
Deroy Murdock speaking with us right now. Last question before we have to let you go. I look at how Herschel Walker has been treated as a candidate and a lot of the comments that have been made, the judgments that have been made against him. And you speak a lot, Deroy, often on issues that have to do with race and politics. And I'm just curious what your thoughts are. Herschel Walker is a black man running for the United States Senate in Georgia. Should he have been a Democrat candidate, do you think he'd been treated differently?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the attacks on him have been very ugly. People saying, well, he's not really black and he's a sellout and all this sort of garbage. And look, he's a free man. He can think what he wants. If he happens not to believe in big government and a lot of Democrat ideas, he's a grown adult and he's perfectly allowed to do that. And you got to be respected for that. And you can disagree and say, look, I think he's wrong. But the notion that just because he's black means he's got to sign on to the left-wing big government agenda, I mean, that's racist. Any more than saying you're white, therefore you need to be for tax cuts, or you're Hispanic, and therefore you need to be for or against school choice. People are individual Americans are able to make up their minds. That is true whether you're a voter or whether you're a candidate. And so I hope Herschel Walker wins, and those people who won't agree with me should go to teamherschel.com and do what they can to bring him across the finish line next Tuesday.
Well, Deroy, we always appreciate your insight on these specific issues, because it's something that the entire country is focused on right now. You write about it, you talk about it on Fox News, and we're always grateful you give us some time each week here on the Annie Frey Show.
My pleasure, Annie. All right, be well, and good luck with the alarms over there.
Hopefully no more drama for the rest of the day.
Hopefully no more.
We appreciate you.
Take care now.
You
bet. Bye.
Bye-bye. It was funny. Hannah was like, uh-oh, fire, you gotta go. And we did. If you missed it, we had some alarms going off in the building at the beginning of this hour, and we kind of had to call an audible and shift him away. And but now we are all good to go. Let's see here. I think it's time to do something fun. Let's see. Yep, let's do it. We'll do it right now.
It's Christmas.
It's the season to be merry.
Merry Christmas. Hello.
Santa must have called you.
So the Trans-Siberian Orchestra is coming to the Enterprise Center. Tickets are on sale now, and $1 of each ticket will be donated to SSM Healthcare Cardinal Glennon. We're giving away a pair of tickets right now for the Saturday, December 10th at 3 p.m. show. Would you like to win? Well, be caller number 14 right now. Talk to Hannah at 314-241-9797. That's 314-241-9797. Let's get caller number 14. Give Hannah a ring and win some of those Trans-Siberian Orchestra tickets for a December 10th, 3 p.m. show at the Enterprise Center. We'll be back in a minute.
Prices are rising everywhere, and everyone wants to save a little bit of money. Mark Cox here from my friends at CarShield. If you want to control inflation, how about locking in your price and knowing it will never go up? That's what you get with CarShield right now, and here's why I love them. CarShield offers protection plans for about $100 a month. They cover more than ever before, and you get to pick and choose which coverage you get for your cars. You have control over that. Go to their website today. That is carshield.com/Cox. When you go on there, you'll see my smiling face. You can save 10%, and then you get to look at the options. Pick the premium that works for you and your budget, lock it in, and as long as you pay your premium every month, your coverage stays in effect, and the prices will never go up. Again, that's carshield.com/Cox, or call 800-656-3113. That's 800-656-3113.
I want to talk to you about Foley Dental Group and how they address implants and dentures. They have a dedicated, experienced group of doctors focusing entirely on the best way to replace missing teeth. FoleyDentalGroup.com. You can learn about how Dr. Amrin and Dr. Hanser dedicate their practice at Foley Dental Group to restoring your smile and your chewing ability for those who have prematurely lost teeth. There are many options available to you today, and they would love the opportunity to discuss what works best for you. Single implants, implant bridges, dentures with or without implants, or partial dentures. These doctors focus solely on this area of dentistry. If this is you, you've got people who are just waiting for the opportunity to help you. You can call to schedule an appointment today at 618-288-9670. That's 618-288-9670, a brand new facility at 270 and 159 in Edwardsville. FoleyDentalGroup.com.
The St. Louis Blues official retailer, STL Authentics, is your go-to source for authentic team jerseys and exclusive gear you won't find at big box stores or other e-retailers. Reverse retro gear will be a hot holiday gift this season, so be sure to get some merch for the Blues fan in your life before it sells out. Or give them the gift of choice with an STL Authentics gift card. Get your holiday shopping done now at the Team Store at Enterprise Center or STLAuthentics.com.
Hey guys, Glover here with my very, very good friend, Dr. Kathy Maupin at BioBalanceHealth.com. If you have reached that certain age and you're just not feeling very well and nothing's working the way it used to work, go see Dr. Kathy. She is not only a medical doctor, she is a patient of this bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. It absolutely works. It's a long-term solution. She is an artist when it comes to helping you with your hormones. BioBalanceHealth.com for Dr. Kathy Maupin.
KFTK FM Florissant.
Driven by the Bommarito Automotive Group.
97.1 FM Talk.
Always live on the free Odyssey app.
A vote to avoid a rail strike in the U.S. House. On Lisa Brady, Fox News. The resolution winning bipartisan support.
Following the urging of President Biden, the House approved a measure forcing rail companies and unions to accept a tentative labor agreement reached earlier this year. A bipartisan 290 to 137 vote sends that bill to the Senate for final approval. A separate measure approved on a near party line tally would add 7 paid sick leave days to the agreement for rail workers, a crucial sticking point in the labor dispute.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. 4 of 12 unions had rejected the tentative deal, threatening a strike beginning next week. Congress also up against a deadline to avoid a partial government shutdown in December. 4 Republican senators now urging GOP colleagues not to rubber stamp a spending bill that funds more of the president's agenda, suggesting that would be ignoring the will of voters, as the president continues to argue his agenda is working. Fed Chief Jay Powell signaling a smaller rate hike could be coming at the Fed's December meeting, but that the central bank has to keep fighting inflation.
He obviously says inflation is much too high. That is where his focus is. He also talks about Fed will stay the course until the job is done. They're trying to make sure that the expectation doesn't change.
Fox Business's Edward Lawrence at the White House. In a speech today, Powell says the Fed needs substantially more evidence that inflation is declining. Just getting word that singer-songwriter Christine McVie has died, one of the 2 main female voices in Fleetwood Mac, along with Stevie Nicks.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies.
Fleetwood Mac confirming McVie's death on social media. She was 79. There's been no word on a cause of death. Former President Bill Clinton just confirming on social media that he's tested positive for COVID. He says he's had mild symptoms but is doing fine overall. America is listening to Fox News.
Missed Black Friday? Dell's Cyber Monday event starts now with deals on powerful business tech. The savings start now with up to 50% off on select business PCs powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL for Cyber Monday deals. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
At Simply Safe Home Security, your safety is the only thing that matters. So this holiday season, we're giving you 40% off any new system, because feeling secure in your home is a gift that everyone deserves. Named Best Home Security of 2022 by U.S. News & World Report, Simply Safe protects your whole home with advanced technology, powered by 24/7 professional monitoring. Visit simplysafe.com/holiday to save 40% today. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Air Comfort Service, Heating and Cooling, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
No question, a winter cold wind out there this afternoon. Lots of sunshine, though. Don't let it fool you. Only 38 for the high. Wind chills, you'll know it if you get caught in the wind. Tonight, clear, cold. Fading winds, 22 degrees Thursday. Sunny, less wind, but chilly, 42. And a pop to 55 Friday afternoon after a cold start. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
I've been doing live endorsements for Genesis of St. Charles for a couple months now. This is Ryan Wiggins. But it's an exciting time to be a part of Genesis. This is a very growing brand, and Genesis of St. Charles is about to have the first Genesis facility in all of Missouri. So they're doing well. Thank you so much for responding and just checking out Genesis, and of course, going to Genesis of St. Charles. I've been saying they're in the Hyundai showroom, the St. Charles Hyundai showroom. Test drive a Genesis right there. They have the models. You can visit genesisofstcharles.com. By this time next year, actually the middle of 2023, they will have a building that you can visit. It'll be the only Genesis building in Missouri. But right now, you go to the St. Charles Hyundai showroom. They're part of the St. Charles Automotive Campus, just a quarter mile east of Mid Rivers Mall on Veterans Memorial Parkway. You're going to love it. It's young luxury. It's luxury you can afford, which is surprising in this market, especially because they could jack that price up. They're not doing it. Genesis of St. Charles, Genesis of stcharles.com.
Goodwill and St. Louis Union Station have teamed up to take you under the sea and over St. Louis. When you donate a car, running or not, you can receive 4 tickets to the St. Louis Union Station's aquarium and wheel. Donating a car to Goodwill is quick and easy, and towing is free. Plus, you'll get a good feeling from donating to a charity that does so much in our community. For more information, visit mersgoodwill.org.
Nobody wants to miss the important things in life, and if it's because of bad vision, you don't have to. Mark Cox here from my friends at Brenton Vision. They can help you out. That's why I want you to take 2 minutes today to call my friends at Brenton at 314-375-2020 or go online to brentonvision.com. Your eyes are as unique as your fingerprint. Since Brenton Vision is the only place in Missouri offering all 7 forms of modern vision correction, they can create a customized treatment plan just for your vision. They helped my wife out. She chose the lens replacement therapy and now sees better than ever, and she loves it. You can have that same experience with Brenton Vision. They accept flex plans and medical spending plans as well at Brenton. So don't let that money expire or go to waste. See your best. Do what we did. Call Brenton Vision at 314-375-2020 or schedule online right now at brentonvision.com.
Give the gift that's hard to wrap, but easy to give. The Steel Holiday Gift Guide has outdoor power tools and more for everyone on your list. Visit your local steel dealer or go online to stihlusa.com/gift guide.
Hi, this is Ken and Laurie Heisey of Heisey Advisory Group. We're dedicated to helping individuals and families work toward their financial goals. If you're retiring soon, join us Saturday at 9:30 a.m. for your Retirement Highway.
Investment advisory services by individuals through AE Wealth Management, LLC.
If the media ignores them, then we're talking to them. And we're posting it all as it happens. 97.1 on Twitter and Facebook.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. It's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to you. It's a beautiful day outside. Hope you are getting the opportunity to enjoy it, and we are grateful that you're spending some of that afternoon with us. Thanks for choosing 97.1 FM Talk. This has been quite a show. I feel like this has been a roller coaster of a show. At 12:25, we spoke with Winston Marshall. He's the co-founder of the band Mumford & Sons. If you don't know Mumford & Sons, you do know Mumford & Sons. You just may not realize you do. But it's an amazing band. I love their music. And Winston Marshall, during COVID, when everybody was locked down, read a book by Andy Ngo. It was talking about Antifa and how they, the book is unmasked. You can read it or you can not read it, whatever. Winston Marshall did the atrocity of reading a book and tweeting about it. And he essentially got canceled. He left the band to protect the band from the fallout of his tweet. It's an amazing statement. And has since said, you know what? No, this cancel culture that exists, this is not right, and we should not be giving in to the cancel culture. So now he has a podcast called Marshall Matters. You can subscribe to it. I have. It is a very, very interesting podcast because it focuses on topics that society and culture, the people who get to participate, the capital T, they, it's a faceless, nameless group of people, get to determine what we can and cannot talk about. Well, he says those things that they say we can't talk about, I'm going to talk about them, and I'm going to make a podcast out of it. And he came on to talk to us about it and had very high regards for St. Louis in the process. So Winston Marshall at 12:25. And then we spoke with Joe Concha at 1:25 and a delayed Deroy Murdock because of a perceived emergency in the building here that was not. We had to relocate him in the show, and he was happy to oblige. We're grateful for that.
It was like a pre-alarm alarm.
Yeah.
I've never heard anything like that before.
Well, the interesting thing about the soundproofing of these studios, the quality, that was going on out there. We had no idea. Was it Hannah that came to the...
Yeah.
She just like opened the door and looked at us like an oh crap look. And I'm like, what's going on? And then I heard the alarm going on out there. And so I went out and it was like telling us that we might need to leave the building. So we had to figure out what was going on. Everything was fine. It was dramatic. It's like when you almost get into a car accident, but then you don't and everything is fine and nothing really happened.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a moment where it could have happened. That was kind of that.
Enough to get the adrenaline going and then the drop off.
Yep. Today's YouTube live chat poll is Elon Musk a hero? Yes, no, or too soon to tell. I want to know what you think about this. You go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel where we stream live each day. And in the live chat section of that live video right now, you can vote in this poll, is Elon Musk a hero? Brad, you said you do have thoughts on this.
I do have thoughts on that. I know we like to say, heroes are people that take great risk for others' benefit, I should say. So, you think about the firefighter rushing into a burning building to save somebody, or the police officer, like Will Scharf said, running down a dark alley, to protect people. And then you look and it's like, well, is what Elon Musk doing really heroic, or is it just kind of self-serving? It might be a little bit of both, but there's something to be said for somebody that's willing to risk, it ended up being $44 billion of his own money to purchase a website that he didn't need. He didn't need that website, but he said free speech is under assault and I can help fight that fight. And so he took his money and he put his money where his mouth is. He didn't just whine about it. He actually was able to do something and did something for that. So not having free speech to me is an existential threat to a society. And he put himself out there to protect it, and he has taken a lot of slings and arrows for it.
He certainly risked a lot.
Yes, he's put a lot on the line. It's like, well, what did he risk? A lot. That's $44 billion. That's a lot of money.
You can forget about like his goodwill. And he's still going to do SpaceX-y types of things, Tesla things. He's still going to be doing these things. Is his reputation going to suffer? How many Alyssa Milanos are going to turn in their Teslas for a VW? Is that going to affect him? Yeah, that might affect him a little bit, but it's not like his scientific advances are going to just stop because of this.
Right.
He has other things, but $44 billion, that's a language that a lot of people speak in money, maybe not $44 billion of money, but he did do it. And I think that really is a risk. That's really something to acknowledge. Well, so did you answer, though? Is he a hero?
Well, then I was going to add to that. The other side of that is he was basically, with Tesla, he was a hero to the left. He was an absolute hero.
Alyssa Milano had a Tesla.
Yeah, everybody.
Why did Alyssa Milano have a Tesla?
Well, she wanted the best EV. He saw a need and he created an EV that ended up being the best EV out there. You can say what you want about the other ones. The Teslas are the industry standard. You're going to use Tesla to describe an EV the same way you use Kleenex to describe a facial tissue. It is what the standard will be. And he risked all of that too. So I'm leaning toward hero, but I'm still on the fence. I'm like, it's too soon to see how much... how I'm loving everything that I'm seeing about this. Everything. And if he continues down this path, he will absolutely be a hero. But he's not down the path yet.
I kind of liken the Elon Musk. I think that it's too soon to tell right now, but I am like high on the yes, but voting too soon to tell. I think that there was a time where people would have thought that, especially on the right. And again, I'm talking a lot about our unfortunate knee-jerk reaction to anything that seems like it subsidizes the thoughts that you already have. So Kanye West, I remember where I was sitting when he tweeted, when I was alerted to the fact that he tweeted, "I like the way she thinks." And he was talking about Candace Owens, and it was the start. This was the start of things. This was during the Trump presidency, and it was like, what? And I told the person who sent that tweet to me, I'm like, I do not believe it. There is more to the story. and the other shoe will drop. Boy, was there more to the story. I didn't see it going the way it went. But for him to acknowledge Candace Owens and publicly state, I like the way she thinks, what I said at the time was, Kanye West is a shock. He has shock value. Kanye West wants to look at the landscape of everything and then say the thing that will shock the most people. He certainly has stayed on that track. And to me, I thought at the time for Kanye West, what is the most shocking thing that the most successful at the time, incredibly wealthy and successful outside of music, what is the most shocking thing that he could say? And I thought that the most shocking thing he could say would be, I support Donald Trump, or I support Republican values. And I don't think that is untrue. But the question, like if you were to see that tweet and then say, oh, well, because of this tweet, Kanye West saying that he likes the way Candace Owens think, that Kanye West is a hero, that's a little too soon to tell. And that story is writing probably its last few chapters right now. And I think that Kanye West is an incredibly troubled person. And he has thoughts on certain political issues from his upbringing that are differing from the industry that he came out of. But then he also says things that are incredibly shocking and hateful. And so how do you reconcile all of those things with your political leans? Here's the thing, folks. You don't have to. That's Kanye West. He doesn't belong to anybody. He speaks for himself. He speaks about other people. And if you've ever thought that he made a good point, it's possible that people can make good points and make bad points. And bad people can have a glimmer of saying something that you might agree with, but that doesn't atone for the whole. And Kanye West is troubled. And I think that the whole package, everything that he says, has to be seen through the understanding that he is a troubled person. And when you are quick to look at somebody like Kanye West and see that, oh, he said something that he's breaking away from, he's being red-pilled, blah, blah, blah. Just sit on that for a second. Wait and see how it plays out. And you don't need a Kanye West, in the previous time before he is saying anti-Semitic things and pushing out statements that has everybody going, what are you doing? Why are you talking like this? When he first comes out, if you have that immediate reaction like, oh, he's one of ours, like, be careful. What is ours? Conservative ideology has to be about a collective group of thoughts that conserves power and authority with the American people against an overbloated, overcompensated government that wants to find a problem around every corner so they can then provide a solution that you pay for. And in the red shirt, blue shirt competitive game that we play every day, if you think that you're going to find a marquee player who's now on your team who you didn't know, like, be careful what you wish for, because Kanye West is not the person you want to have out there speaking your values. He said he's going to run for president. Is he going to run as a Republican?
I have no
Has he
idea.
even said?
He's probably going to run as an independent. He's
Is he going to run no matter what? If he runs as an independent, he doesn't have to run in any party. He probably creates his own party or something. But like the acquisition of a Kanye West at any point in the political timeline, it shouldn't define who you are and what you stand for. And it's not necessary. And Elon Musk, I think that conservatives right now should consider the long game here and know that Elon Musk, he said he would support Ron DeSantis. Of course, I've been very vocal about my appreciation and respect for Ron DeSantis. I've also said that if Donald Trump at every point up until now, if he were to get the nomination for the Republican Party and it was Donald Trump versus Joe Biden, that's an easy choice for me. Donald Trump would have my vote. We work, especially on the conservative side, because it's the anomaly. We work to see somebody who is a high-profile person who espouses some element of conservatism And then all of a sudden, it's like, we got to claim them as ours. They're one of us. Well, what is us? Because, at any given moment when Brad and Ryan and Hannah and I are all in the same room, in many cases, we'll probably vote the same way, but for very differing reasons. We all have very different lifestyles. And you have to understand what it means to be conservative, what it means to hold those conservative values, and know that you don't need a marquee player to enter the party to validate that. That the ideology itself, the conservatism itself, needs to be what's marquee about that party. And I don't think we are like that.
This is actually almost antithetical to conservatism. You don't need, like, conservatism almost to a point right now is you kind of do your thing and let me do my thing, and we'll settle our differences when our things cross. But until then, you kind of do you and I'll do me, and we'll be all right. And to look for somebody that's like one of us, the leader, the marquee thing, it's just not what the conservative mindset is.
And you don't need Kanye West to say the same thing you say for it to have value. That's
right.
That's the issue. You don't need Elon Musk to say that free speech is important for free speech to be important.
Right.
But when Elon Musk has $44 billion and he decides to take the weight off of conservatives on Twitter, that does make a huge difference. Mm-hmm. That's action and not just, a spouting of words. That's the YouTube live chat poll today. I'd love for you to vote and tell us what you think about this question. Is Elon Musk a hero? Yes, no, or too soon to tell? Annie Frey YouTube channel in the live chat section of our live broadcast video right now. You can go vote and leave comments. Hannah is watching and waiting, and she will highlight those at the 2:45 segment of this show to give us the results of that poll. Let's take a quick break. More Annie Frey Show when we come back. Congratulations to Hunter, who won the Trans-Siberian Orchestra tickets. From what I understand, it's Hunter from the live chat. That's pretty exciting. Hunter, high five. Way to go. Thanks for listening. Thanks for participating. We will continue to give away Trans-Siberian Orchestra tickets for the rest of this week. So don't change the channel. Keep it right here on the Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Back in a second.
I can't change a flag. You can give me your heart, girl. Well, you may never get it.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Would you look at that? I finally found something I'm good at.
So my biggest fear is there's going to be snakes in the toilet.
We're all afraid of that one strange thing. I'm Larry Mullins, the host of a new short 10-minute podcast called Your Weirdest Fears. We unpack where these fears come from.
A rat climbed into my toilet.
And learn how to manage them. Listen and subscribe to Your Weirdest Fears on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
TheDiamondShop.net is the website, TheDiamondShop.net. They do custom jewelry. They do jewelry and watch repair appraisals as well. They also buy gold. If you're looking for the place where you can go for all of your jewelry needs, questions, and purchases, can I introduce you to the amazing people, the amazing staff at the Diamond Shop? They've been in St. Louis since 1910. You can find them in Clayton. And I want you to understand how much of a pleasurable experience it's going to be to walk in their beautiful store, to look at their beautiful cases full of beautiful pieces for men, for women, including watches, jewelry, necklaces. And my husband, I bought him a tie restraint. They made one for him. It was really beautiful, and I was so grateful for that. You go talk to them about what you're looking for, and they assess your budget, and they assess what they have. And if you need something custom made, they can do that as well. They also have 6 months same as cash, which is a great way to make sure that you can get the piece that you're looking for and properly afford it over the course of that time. 6 months same as cash is a great deal. Become a member of their VIP program, and ladies and gentlemen, go on there and create a wish list. And that way your loved one knows exactly what to get you off of your favorite items. You can go online to thediamondshop.net.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Hi, this is Arnold, owner of the Good Feet store. Does it feel like someone is stabbing a knife into your heel?
Does your lower back hurt more and more as the day goes on?
I had to go nonstop from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day. Every time I stood up, pain just shot up my legs. Fortunately, I found the Good Feet store. I went to them after my doctor diagnosed me with plantar fasciitis. Now, thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm 100% pain-free.
Come to the Good Feet store this holiday season and give the gift of pain relief to you and your loved ones.
Call 314-317-9494 or visit one of our 2 locations on Olive, Catty Corner from TGI Fridays, or in Shiloh, Illinois, across from Deerbergs.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Individual results may vary. Consult your physician for medical conditions. Visit the website goodfeetstlewis.com. Come in and try the Good Feet feeling today. Flex spending and gift cards available. Some restrictions apply.
Family is what makes your house a home, and a home theater from the Sound Room is a great way to do that. Get a 10-foot home theater today for $86.99. You heard it right. $86.99. It's a 120-inch screen. It also includes a 4K Epson projector, an Onkyo surround sound receiver, Paradigm speakers, and a subwoofer. Popcorn and installation are extra. The Sound Room in Chesterfield is the St. Louis leader in home technology. TheSoundRoom.com. Right next to Amini's in the Chesterfield Valley. The Sound Room.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk.
I am running because I believe the world has not yet seen the true glory of what this nation can be. It's about our love for this great country.
97.1 FM Talk. You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
I stare at a picture of you and listen to the radio. Hope there's a conversation. We both admit we had it good. But until then, it's alienation. I know that much is understood. And I realize if you ask me how I'm doing, I would say.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Hannah, come in here if you're listening to the show right now. She's sitting outside. Hannah, come in here. Maybe if I sounded like an alarm. Here she goes. She's listening. That's a test. You passed. Congratulations. What?
You forgot something.
Oh, no, she's fine. She didn't need her headphones.
We're
Leave her
good.
alone.
We're good. We're
Leave
good.
her alone. This is from CNBC. Want to sound more confident? Ditch these 10 phrases that might make you look insecure and arrogant, according to experts.
Is that one of them?
I'm not there yet.
Tell us how you really feel about that.
You can make
word.
your own list.
Okay. Go ahead.
You can assess this list. I was going to do this when Ryan Wiggins was here, but maybe we'll just talk about it on the air right now, and then we can listen to how he speaks for the next 48 hours when he gets back and just judge him quietly.
We should come up with a secret word that they could type in chat.
Okay.
Whenever
if he does.
And then the chat blows up and he's like, I don't understand what this is, and we can all laugh at him.
Ditch these 10 phrases that make you look insecure and arrogant.
Ooh, those are strong words.
I like the it'd be funny if they're all things he says. I like the juxtaposition of the words insecure and arrogant because they go together. Mm-hmm. Right in between those is confidence, which is neither insecure or arrogant. And the correct place to be. Ooh. Here's the first one. I don't mean to brag, but that sounds like something he would say. Sarcastically, but he would say.
Yeah, oh yeah. What is it whenever you do that sarcastically, though? I don't like to brag, but...
Yeah, it's like not a brag. Do you know anybody who says that?
I do.
You do?
Yep.
And they mean it?
Yeah.
And they're actually bragging?
Yeah.
Are they arrogant and insecure? You don't have to answer that, but we already know they are. Here's the second one. I already knew that. Or doesn't everyone know that?
I think I already knew that sounds better than saying, doesn't everybody know that? Agree?
It sounds like, I don't know.
One of them could be the insecure and the other one's the arrogant. Like, I already knew that. There's so much about that, though, that it's like in your, the way you say it more so than what you're actually saying.
I might say, doesn't everyone know that on this show from time to time, if there's a point made that I think, for instance,
Trump was president.
Doesn't everyone know that?
I feel like I got to make sure that's not like the next thing on the list. Oh, and the next one is I feel like. No, I'm kidding. I don't think many people are engaged in the things we talk about on a regular basis. I think that we are nerds. I say this on a regular basis, that, we can hand wring and discuss for hours and hours and hours all of these details, like hyper-focused details about the political scene. And the majority of people are not talking about this stuff at all. So,
and we love it.
I think very often people assume in our world, because we're living in it, that these issues that we see as big issues, and just because other people aren't talking about it doesn't mean that they become less important of an issue. I think that we often overlook how many people are invested in the issues that we care about on a regular basis. I don't know. The next one is, I'm pretty sure that. Blah, 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 blah.
I say that often.
Do you say it when you're really sure? Because I think if I could see myself saying, I'm pretty sure that something blah, 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 blah. And
I think I say that multiple times a day.
Super confident. And I'm not pretty sure. I know I'm right. You know what I'm saying?
I don't use that when I know I'm right. I use it.
I use it for both.
I usually say it in a context that's like, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that, and then I say what it is that I'm thinking it is. So it's like, I'm pretty sure that happened in 1987. But I'm pretty sure, but I'm not 100%
CNBC
sure.
says it's fine to be sure about things, but don't overdo it, especially if you're actually not sure. Research shows that narcissists rarely use words like maybe, guess, or perhaps.
Ooh.
Being confident enough to say that you don't know something can be the best way to initiate trust in your judgment. It also makes others feel empowered to explain things to you. I'm pretty sure that's wrong. I'm just kidding.
I could be wrong.
Number 4, no offense, but I'm not a fan of that.
No, I don't like that at all.
Yeah, I don't think I say that often. I'm pretty sure that I don't say it that often.
If you say no offense and it's followed by but, then you know that the offense will be implied.
Yes. I don't like that either.
Do you know that if offense would be implied or offense would be a possibility of being taken?
Yeah.
So, like, if you don't mean offense by it,
I would have to be wanting to give offense to say no offense, but my
Which
goal
is why
would
you
be...
shouldn't say it. You should just offend them.
Yes.
Yeah, just offend them.
Just straight up offend them. That's confidence. You know what's happening right now? Ryan Wiggins is listening and writing these things down, and he's going to say them all tomorrow. And he's gonna think he's being really cheeky. And now he's sitting there writing these down, and he's going, "Oh, come on!"
Yeah.
Call him out on it. That is such a Wiggins thing to do.
I see it. It's like on a crumpled up napkin that he's writing this on.
KFC napkin.
He's gonna make a song.
Number 5, overusing I or me. It says when people hear a lot of I's and me's, there's a strong chance they might think of you as self-centered or narcissistic. Research shows that people feel more positive about other people who use inclusive words like we and our team. When writing emails or text messages, check to see how many of your sentences start with an I. Chances are there are more than you think.
I agree with that.
I don't feel like we do that.
What? We would agree on that.
We agree on that, team.
Yeah.
Joe from the YouTube chat said, using the words following with all due respect are painfully offensive. I agree with that.
That might still be on here. I don't know.
Every time I say I'm going to start sweating.
I don't mean to offend you, but with all due respect, I'm pretty sure I'm right. Listen, that was the moment people quit listening to the Annie Frey Show.
What's next?
Oh, I'm just kidding. People say, it's kind of like no offense, but you say something mean and then you're like, I'm just kidding.
You look terrible in that dress.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. You look great in that dress, Brad.
Thank you.
With all due respect.
With all due respect,
Yeah.
I think I could look great in anything.
Do you know people who
Oh yeah.
they're quick to throw out the barbs, but then if they're being playful about it, you could say I'm just kidding, but that doesn't necessarily take away the sting. It depends on the person.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's Joe Concha on Fox News. Hey, Joe. That must be where he was hustling to.
His ribs look fine.
Oh, yeah. His ribs look totally. He's totally cool. He's breathing just fine. You can listen to our Joe Concha interview by rewinding to 1:25 p.m. or listening to the Annie Frey Show podcast today. It's on Fox News right now. I think that for instance, Ryan and I, we go back and forth all the time, and we do have to make sure that the nitpicking, I'm a little behind the scenes here, the nitpicking on each other, that it does stay in a loving.
He's definitely writing that down.
In a respectful way.
Yeah.
Because Brad, you speak to this right now because you've been in the studio. What Ryan and I do in this studio back and forth is not fake. Right?
It's not fake.
Like Ryan Wiggins is that person.
And Annie Frey is that person.
Yeah, okay. But I mean, like, outside of the studio, that's pretty much...
It's just, your interactions.
He really is that way. I think that needs to be highlighted. The way you guys see and hear Ryan Wiggins on air, he is that way 24/7, and we work with him.
Mm-hmm.
5 days a week.
He will make you laugh, and he will make you scratch your head, and he might make you pull your hair out. You just don't really know where it's going.
And he's our Ryan Wiggins.
And he's intentional about all of it, and he enjoys doing all three of those things. He enjoys making you laugh, he enjoys making you confused, and he enjoys making you pull your hair out.
This is a little inside baseball. I texted our boss yesterday, I think it was, and I told him the segment I did Monday at 2:05. There was no Ryan Wiggins in the studio, and I started talking about laundry, and I got halfway through the segment. I'm like, I don't know how to stop talking about this. I got called out by some of our trolls for talking about laundry for too long. And I'm like, you guys are right. And I realized that when Ryan is here, I spend like 90 seconds talking about something, and he just takes it off the rails and derails. Like, I had to keep talking about this subject, and I can't do that when he's not here because I was like, I don't even care about what I'm talking about right now.
We're not used to being on the rails. We're like looking around like, wait.
Somebody do something. And I said to my boss, I go, it's the absolute worst segment of radio I've ever done. I was so bored with myself. And I was like, I can't believe that I just kept talking about it. And I just kept looking. It's like the longest segment we do is the first segment of each hour. Mm-hmm. And I realized that I did what I always do, but when Ryan's not here, it doesn't develop the way it normally does. And here I am still talking about laundry. So for the haters that I have that are here every single day on the YouTube live chat, you were right. I sucked.
I personally liked the laundry segment.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. You just saying that because I saved your life earlier today.
Oh, no.
I could tell. It's funny because I think I've seen a glimpse into Hannah's life that I hadn't seen before, because when panic sets in, because we had, if you are just tuning in now, at about 1:00, we had some alarms going off in the building that were suggesting that maybe we needed to evacuate. I don't even know what they were, but it turned out it was a false alarm. We didn't need to do anything, but we had to assess the situation in real time. And Hannah looks at me and she just goes, Annie? It's just like bossing people around. You do this and you do that.
I think we understand each other on a different level.
Yeah.
Now, after there was almost crisis and
there was no crisis.
No.
But we were prepared to react to crisis.
Yeah.
By putting Will Scharf back on the air.
Mm-hmm. I breathed in so hard when I was dialing Deroy's phone number. I was like, okay. Things might be on fire. People might be getting hurt.
But we would like to reschedule you for 1:45.
Producer first.
Oh, man. And I mean, like, this is just the daily existence here. Like, I am a bit of a punching bag for some people, but there are also people who compliment the show every day. So it comes from both sides. And I'm scrolling back to read this because it just makes me laugh. We fired off an interview from Monday. Will Scharf was in studio, and it was a really great interview, and you guys had that ready to go, and we were trying to figure out, are we in crisis or are we not in crisis? It turned out we weren't. But in the meantime, if you're watching us on the live chat, you could see that there is a little bit of chaos going on in the room, and that there was a show going on, and we were running a recorded interview. And Shane from Facebook comments, yesterday's interview, I wish the show was better. Like, we were averting crisis. I mean, we weren't, but we could have been.
We didn't know.
Shane. There are things in your life that are bright and happy and sunny. focus on those things. Like, imagine tuning into a show, a live stream on Facebook, and being so upset by a recorded interview from Monday that you're just like overly disappointed. I wish the show was better. I do too, Shane. I wish it was better.
There were a lot of nice comments from people. A lot of people were worried. Vicky says that her mom mode kicked in, knowing that, things were a little off.
She could tell.
Yes.
Yeah. Nick just said, y'all left Brad. We didn't leave Brad.
No, Brad chose to stay.
Brad is like the band on the Titanic.
No. I told you, because I was barking orders at everybody. I reprogrammed Y98. And I was like, I got 30 seconds to make decisions. Let's go. We're now syndicated on Y98. Just kidding. I said to Brad, I go, put on a recorded interview so that you can get out of here.
You said that like 4 times, too.
Correct.
As I was doing it.
But I understand that. But what I'm saying is, I could have said, keep us on air. We're getting out of here. And I didn't. I wanted Brad to be able to vacate and give us like 10 minutes to panic.
I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to wait for you to give me permission to evacuate.
I understand that. That's not what I'm saying. You don't
Annie
need my
was
permission,
on
and I wasn't
board.
assessing that. All I'm trying to say is I was looking out for Brad, but now Brad's crapping on that idea. So let's go to a break because I'm done with this. And when we come back, we're going to get to the YouTube live chat poll. Is Elon Musk a hero? Yes, no, or too soon to tell? And I also will have 7, 8, 9, 10 of the phrases that you may be using that make you look insecure and arrogant when we come back. Don't go away.
And I thought you were innocent. This
is the Annie Frey Show.
Still you're magnificent.
Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Turn around and I'm back in the game. Even better than the old me.
You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But inflation and recession has you wondering if all your hard-earned equity will still be there. What if you could recession-proof your equity right now? You can with Truehold. Truehold will buy your home for its best current value before a recession can erode it. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want, and Truehold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since Truehold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value. Visit Truehold.com and discover how much Truehold will buy your home for today based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's Truehold.com.
I want to talk to you about Air Comfort Service and what they can do for you this time of the year. A lot of people refer to this as sweater weather or football season. It's fall, and you know that this is the time where maybe your allergies are setting in. This is also the time of the year where your furnace, it's probably kicked on. It was cold today. It was not cold yesterday. Leave it to St. Louis to be a place where we know what it's like to potentially, we might be a little past this, but have the air conditioner on and the furnace on in the same day. Corey and the team at Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation want to keep you in your comfort zone throughout the rest of this fall and into the winter. One of the ways they can do that is with indoor air quality products like whole home air purifiers and humidifiers. We have a humidifier in our home that we had put in when they came in and they replaced our furnace a couple years ago. It's made a huge difference. We always used to have a humidifier running on the floor where all of our bedrooms are. We don't have to do that anymore because Air Comfort Service installed one in the Frey house. If you or someone in your home suffers from allergies, reach out to the Air Comfort Service to see how this indoor air quality products that they have available to you can help you with these issues. They are wonderful people to work with. They have amazing reviews. All you got to do is Google them and read about them, or you can take my word for it. Air Comfort Service has serviced my home in many different ways. 314-513-0091. That's 314-513-0091. You can find them online at aircomfortservice.com.
The federal government is hiring 87,000 new IRS enforcement agents. Make no mistake, with spending out of control, they're looking to collect revenue. The first target will be you. If you have not paid your taxes or filed them in years, let me help you get that target off your back. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm here in St. Louis. So if you have unfiled returns, wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, now's the time to call the Lance Drury Law Firm before the IRS calls you. Your consultation is free, so don't put it off. The Lance Drury Law Firm focuses solely on tax resolution law. It's all we do. And if you have IRS problems, you have legal problems. Let us use our tax law resolution experience to guide you and work on your custom resolution plan. Call now. It's free and confidential. Call me, Lance Drury, at 314-260-6120 or go to LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
The only person who can change your life is you, but you need to know how. Listen to my show, The Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins.
Listen to The Del Walmsley Radio Show this Saturday afternoon from 1 to 2 p.m. on 97.1 FM Talk.
Brian Kilmeade here. I'm coming back to St. Louis December 9th at the Missouri Athletic Club for a Brian Kilmeade live event with my friends at 97.1 FM Talk. Enjoy a delicious filet dinner, cocktails, and we'll talk about my book, The President Freedom Fighter, and all the news that consumes the headlines. Plus, everyone who attends will receive an autographed copy of my book, now out on paperback. For tickets, go to 971talk.com/events.
Brian Kilmeade Live is presented by Straight Realty.
I'm looking forward to seeing you December 9th.
For tickets, 971talk.com/events.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gsl.honorflight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Tommy Pickett is the RNC Rapid Response Director down in Georgia.
Well, we're seeing a lot of enthusiasm for Herschel Walker. We're seeing a lot of Republicans come out to vote, so the numbers are looking pretty good.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Happy to be with you. Thank you for spending some of your time with us. We've had a big show today, a really good time for you to potentially subscribe to the Annie Frey Show podcast. Winston Marshall was on with us at 12:25. You can rewind on the Odyssey after 12:25 if you'd like to hear Winston Marshall. He's a co-founder of the band Mumford & Sons, and he ended up exiting that band because cancel culture got to him, and he didn't want it to sweep the band up in the process. And now he has a podcast called Marshall Matters, and he discussed that with us at 12:25. Really interesting conversation, and hope you get a chance to listen to it. Deroy Murdock, Joe Concha also with us in the 1 o'clock hour, and we had a good conversation with both of them. We have a YouTube live chat poll up right now. Hannah, you are our live chat poll person. What's the vibe on the poll?
Annie, the poll is
her
asking...
favorite word is vibe.
No, it's not. The poll is asking, is Elon Musk a hero? Yes, no, or too soon to tell? I said it's too soon to tell.
You think it's too soon to tell?
Yes.
What about you? You said
that was me. It's too soon to tell.
Samesies. What are the people saying?
The people are saying...
What's the vibe in the chat?
Annie! Vicky Davis from Facebook is saying too soon to tell, but I'm loving it while it lasts. Dave G from YouTube said, I voted too soon to tell in the poll because I think there's a lot more Elon to come. He agrees with Brad's assessment, though. $44 billion is a chunk of change. David White from YouTube said, Elon Musk is already a hero because he has brought free speech back to active issue status and is on the right side of it. Is he a perfect hero? No. Scooter from YouTube said, firing 3,700 people right before Christmas doesn't make you heroic.
Is it okay if it's after Christmas? What about Jeff Bezos? Are we mad at him? What about Mark Zuckerberg? Are we mad at him? What about CNN? Are we mad at them? I'm just curious. Carry on.
Great question.
Not a good vibe.
Not passing the vibe check. Rob P says...
we could do a whole segment called Vibe Check.
Let's not.
And you could host it.
She really doesn't like
Let's
that.
not. Everybody has their phrase or word they don't like.
I'm trying to push. What? You don't vibe? Is that what you said?
I said I don't like vibe.
Oh, you don't like vibe. I thought you were using it.
No.
We could do a segment called Vibe Check. It could be hosted by Hannah, and then you just have to say the word over and over again. It's like shock therapy.
That's if I need to be punished.
Is it the word, or is it like the way that it's used?
Everything with it. I just don't like
She's physically recoiling.
Don't like it.
Are there other words that bother you? Like, does moist bother you?
No.
What about?
Bothers a lot of people.
Yeah.
There's another word that I don't like that I don't want to say. And I know Annie doesn't like it either. This has been an AMA before. Let's move on.
Is it panty?
Yes. I was going to say it starts with a P, but then people would have been guessing all these
No,
things.
panty.
Yes. I don't.
Call them underpants.
Yeah.
Underpanties. Undies. Yes.
All right,
Anyway,
Rob, let's read your comment.
Did you have panties on your bingo card for this segment of the Annie Frey Show? I didn't.
Okay. Rob B said, I had to vote no, mainly because I reserve hero to someone who risked their life for the benefit of others, like soldiers, firefighters, police, etc.
Batman.
And Batman.
Iron Man.
Elon
James
Musk.
says, hero is a very powerful definition. He's not what I consider a hero. All he stands is to lose money. But for this survey, I will loosely say yes. I like that you called it a survey instead of a poll.
Yes, whatever.
Amanda from YouTube said, I will loosely say yes, Elon is a hero. My actual definition of a hero would align more with military or people of service, but sure. Jackie says, Elon is just a man. I agree with some of the things he's doing, but hero is a strong word.
A lot of heroes are just men.
Mm-hmm.
And women, not a guy-girl thing. To
Janine.
quote Maui from Moana.
Janine says, I voted yes because I think so far he has used his means to liberate free speech, at least on Twitter. I unrealistically hope other platforms will follow.
Fox Business reports Elon Musk has said Twitter has interfered in elections. According to the Fox Business report, Twitter owner and CEO Elon Musk on Wednesday acknowledged that prior to his takeover, the, quote, obvious reality was that Twitter has, quote, interfered in elections through its content moderation policies. Musk's explosive assertion came in response to comments made by Yoel Roth, Twitter's former head of trust and safety, who indicated the social media platform was not safer under the Tesla CEO's leadership. Roth was speaking at a Knight Foundation conference on Tuesday when he explained why he resigned from Twitter, accusing Musk of running the company like a dictator. Quote, one of my limits was if Twitter starts being ruled by dictatorial edict rather than by policy. There's no longer a need for me in my role doing what I do. We talked a little bit earlier in the show about Roth and how he was saying, yeah, it was a mistake to censor all the Hunter Biden stuff. Fox Business reports as the head of trust and safety, Roth was responsible for key content moderation decisions, including banning former President Donald Trump from the platform and suppressing the New York Post coverage of the Hunter Biden laptop story. His decision to leave the company was part of a mass exodus of Twitter employees who left over disagreements with Musk's free speech absolutist vision or were laid off in harsh cost-cutting measures enforced by the billionaire. Does it matter that, I mean, to Scooter's comment about him laying off 3,700 employees right before Christmas, if you have 3,700 employees and Twitter is still functioning without them, and Elon Musk owns Twitter as a private business, does he owe those 3,700 people? I mean, it's a ruthless thing to think about, like you could just cut people off or whatever, but if Twitter was not profitable the way it was before, and Elon Musk purchased it because he saw value in it and thought he could grow it in whatever capacity. Maybe he didn't think he could grow it. Maybe he just thought it was important to change it, and he was willing to spend $44 billion to do it. It's ridiculous to think that we're going to all of a sudden apply some sort of test to Elon Musk and his business endeavors in a capitalistic society that we wouldn't automatically apply to Jeff Bezos, who is Well, I mean, he doesn't own Amazon anymore, does he?
I don't know.
I don't think he does. I don't know. But I mean, if you look at these other companies that are leftist leaning, Zuckerberg laying off people at Facebook and Amazon with 11,000 layoffs. CNN is laying people off today. If you heard Joe Concha mention that. I guess it's just bad that Elon Musk's doing it because they're asserting that he's on the right.
Well, here's the thing about it. There seems to be this thought, it's a prevalent thought, and it's mostly among people on the left, that companies exist for employing people. And that's not why companies exist.
Not in this country.
No. Companies exist for turning a profit. And if they don't turn that profit, then they cannot employ people. So if Twitter is not profitable and it's got 3,700 employees that are just kind of there sponging up things and causing the company to lose money, eventually that company goes out of business. And when that company goes out of business, everybody loses their job. So is it really more noble to hang on to those employees that aren't doing anything, that aren't serving the purpose of the company to make it profitable and cost everybody their job eventually? Everybody's going to lose their job? Or is it better to maintain the company that maybe down the line your company's more profitable?
Topher challenges that point and says, but nobody else is waving pom-poms from random other billionaires. Are you freaking kidding me? There's nobody been waving pom-poms for Jack or Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos. Good morning. It's time to wake up. You want to give us the poll results?
Yes. The poll is asking, is Elon Musk...
Topher. That's funny.
The poll is asking, is Elon Musk a hero? Yes, no, or too soon to tell? With over 190 votes. Ooh, close results.
Ooh! Ooh!
40% say yes, he is a hero. 40% say that he's a hero. 39% say it's too soon to tell. And 21% say no.
It was too soon to tell is leading for the majority of the day.
Just flip-flopped over.
1/5 of you just said no. That's interesting.
Is very interesting. We still have some more comments if we have time.
Go for it.
Jennifer Harris said, I voted no in the poll. I think Elon might be a champion for free speech, but is not what I would consider a hero. Joe K from YouTube said, I voted yes today. Heroes are not perfect people. They're just people who defy the villains. Jackie S said, regarding Elon, it's too soon to tell, and the answer isn't absolute. He appears to be a hero regarding Twitter to try to restore free speech on the platform and removing employees that weren't on board. Vicky Long says Elon isn't a hero now, but he definitely could turn to be one down the road. And Chris F says that he doesn't like calling anyone a hero, but he thinks he is doing good.
You want to get back to the things that make you sound arrogant? Not you. That probably makes me sound arrogant. They make you sound arrogant from CNBC.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Arrogant and insecure. Let's get to 7, 8, 9, 10 before we wrap up here in 90 seconds. The last one we talked about was, oh, I'm just kidding. And that's like people will say something and then, oh, I'm just kidding. And you're like, but that was mean.
Ouch.
It's not funny if you're, I'll tell you what, oh, I'm just kidding is something that my kids say. Because they haven't learned yet, but trust me, I'm deep.
Kids?
Yeah, they make a joke or they say something to one another that's mean. And like, I'm just kidding. I was just playing around. It's like, it's not playing around if it's not funny for everybody who's involved in the playing around. The next one is, number 7 is, you probably don't know this, but.
Ooh, that one's hurtful.
This is going to be all Wiggins America tomorrow. You know it is. Number 8 is, I'm surprised you're having problems with this. It's so easy.
I hate that.
Who says that?
Oh, man.
I don't know that I've heard that one.
Did I say that to you? I would not
No,
say that.
you don't say that.
I was going to say.
Whoa.
I'd be really, really embarrassed if you're like, Annie, you say that all the time. I don't think.
It's, yeah. My experience has always been with, like, a coworker at a job that I just started.
Like Hannah?
Yeah.
She's got a really rough vibe about her. Number 9 is you just don't get it. If I'm saying you just don't get it, I care not about your feelings. Like, that's not a passive aggressive. That's aggressive.
Yeah.
And number 10, if I were you, I'd fill in the blank. I might say that from time to time. I hope if I do, I don't know.
You can say that out of true love.
If this is what you do, you say, if it were me, I would, not if I were you. Anyway, stick around. The Mark Reardon Show's coming up. Subscribe to the podcast. We had a good one today.
So beat the drum. Missed you this morning. Kim told me you weren't feeling well, so I'm just